Naruto, God Rewards Hard Work, Chapter 101. The fight between the two of them had already left Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Izumi behind. The two of them tacitly left the location to the two of them. Itachi and Izumi started a fierce duel in the spiritual space. Izumi, why are you here? Itachi spoke slowly, without stopping his movements. Izumi started to attack angrily, using fists, feet, and head attacks. And Uchiha Itachi dealt with it easily. Haha, isn't it because of you that I'm here? Are you surprised that I survived? Quan said with disdain. Even if it was in the spiritual space, she would let this former Uchiha genius see what the wrath of an Avenger is. Izumi, you are no match for me like this. I am glad that you survived, but it is easy to cause unrest in the ninja world if you do this. Itachi spoke slowly, the wrinkles on his face made him look indifferent. Don't act so righteous, it just makes me sick. How can you, who can't even protect your own family and friends, talk about justice here? What did you see with your eyes? Quan said angrily, his words were like needles piercing Itachi's heart, causing him dull pain. How can you understand? Ellipsis. In the outside world, Kisame appeared again and almost killed you. Zabuza, who had been on guard against Kisame, saved you. Water style. Great explosion water wave. Kisame once again expanded the battlefield. The surroundings were covered by water, but the speed of water loss was very slow. Kisame used chakra to restrict the flow of water. Such a huge amount of chakra shocked you. The title of Tailless Tailed Beast is well deserved. But don't underestimate Uchiha. I will use illusion, and you will look for opportunities to attack. You said to Zabuza, and gradually exuded a strong aura. Zabuza nodded. When you got serious, he was actually stronger than him with the strength of 3 Magatama. Don't underestimate him, he can play a greater advantage in the water. Zabuza also reminded. He likes this feeling, he is no longer alone. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and the beheading sword in his hand tightened. The two leaned against each other, constantly looking for opportunities. Kisame turned into a hunter in the sea, quietly waiting for the opportunity. Seeing the two people back to back, Kisame also smiled. Zabuza, have you found the bond that you can entrust your life to? Then prove to me how strong your bond is. Water escaped thousands of sharks. Kisame transformed into dozens of sharks and ran towards the two people. The two people also found Kisame's hiding place in an instant. Facing Kisame's casual ninjutsu, the two also felt great pressure. Although Kisame was defeated by Might Guy in the original work, Kisame's powerful strength cannot be denied. With Kisame's strength, he can be regarded as an upper middle level even in the cage level. In the original work, he even defeated the 8 Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee. And Killer Bee can beat Sasuke, who opened the Mangekyo. If it weren't for his teammates and Killer Bee's playfulness at the time, it is very likely that Sasuke, one of the protagonists, would be dead. Kisame was able to defeat Killer Bee by himself, which is enough to show Kisame's strength. If it weren't for the timely rescue of the Reikage, it is very likely that Killer Bee would have been recovered by Kisame alone. At this moment, you and Zabuza cooperated to eliminate all the sharks summoned by Kisame. Not bad. Zabuza, you really impressed me. Kisame walked out directly. The clothes on his upper body had disappeared, revealing his 8-pack abs. There were special gills next to his eyes, and his jagged teeth and skin color were different from those of ordinary people. I'll give you a chance to fight me head-on. After Kisame finished speaking, the surrounding water flow slowly dissipated. The sparse water flowed among the trees, and the smaller trees had already been broken by the strong water flow. Puff. You spat at the side and said unhappily, it seems that I am underestimated. Yes, but he has such qualifications. Zabuza also said in a cold voice, thinking in his heart that if he survived this time, he must step into the cage level as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would not even have the chance to help Naruto. He finally found the goal to strive for, but he still had to watch how the world changed. Only by facing Kisame directly can you find out how powerful he is. Powerful water ninjutsu, chakra amount, and even because of Kisami's special body, Kisami's physical skills are not bad. Thinking of this, Zabuza found that Kisame is really a talent. His head couldn't help but turn. Kisame, you are so powerful, why don't you join our organization? Feather. We're fighting, can you be serious, brother? Kisame, I know you hate the Blood Mist village too, I've heard about your deeds. I also know that you love the village too. How about you come to our organization and have a look? We will end the age of ninjas, the age of ninja villages, and a new era will eventually come under our leadership. All things will return to one, as long as the ninja world is unified, we will no longer have conflicts of war. We will usher in peace under the leadership of our leader. Zabuza is fanatical at this moment, and this is also his inner cry. If it weren't for the pressure of life, who would be willing to kill? The reason why Zabuza slaughtered the candidates who took the same exam at the same time was that he wanted to use this method to change the Blood Mist village. To express dissatisfaction to the top leaders, hoping for reform. The original Kurigakure did change its policies for a period of time because Zabuza also changed it, because if someone else slaughtered the same period ninjas like Zabuza, Kurigakure would not be able to replenish fresh blood. But under Obito's secret manipulation, Kurigakure returned to its previous state in a short period of time. This is the story of Zabuza assassinating the 4th Mizukage and becoming a rebel ninja. Ha ha ha. You not only impress me, but you are also a complete lunatic. Zabuza's words are tantamount to making an enemy of the entire ninja world, just like Uchiha Madara in the past. Wanting to unify means not only facing the 5 major countries, but also the entire ninja world. Zabuza didn't know Kisami's inner thoughts. If he knew, he might say, "Do you think our enemy is the entire ninja world? Then do you know that half of the ninja world is ours?" Zabuza's words may seem arrogant, but in fact, this is the only possibility for peace to come to the ninja world. Since everything is at stake, even if there is only a glimmer of hope, we must seize it at all costs. Zabuza at this moment is a fanatic who carries out his beliefs. You looked at the arrogant Zabuza. He was also immersed in the concept of peace. He could not only bring peace to the ninja world, but also make great achievements. Go down in history. Conquer the entire ninja world. He was conquered by Naruto's spirit at the beginning. Only the strong can conquer Uchiha. And the remaining young people in their Uchiha have an almost crazy worship of Naruto. They often keep a sentence that Naruto said on their lips. Why don't men take Wugo and take over the 5 states of the ninja world? Chapter 102. Kisami's ferocious face became even more terrifying, especially when his big mouth opened to reveal his jagged teeth. It could almost stop a baby from crying. Ha ha ha, Zabuza, you are getting more and more crazy. Let me see if your strength is as strong as you said. Kisame laughed, but he was wary of this organization in his heart. It seems that he despises the organization where Zabuza is, but in fact, he has already attached great importance to it in his heart. Are you going to get involved in the ninja world? The person behind Zabuza is really amazing. I wonder if I can see his style. My Samahata should like his chakra very much. Zabuza waved the sword in his hand, then let's try it. Samahata was taken down by Kisame again, and a trace of fear flashed in Zabuza's face. Samahata is one of the 7 ninja swords. Compared with his previous master, Zigwashin Puffer Demon, Kisame is undoubtedly a more suitable master. Samahata can absorb the chakra provided to his master, and with the monster-like chakra of Kisame, it is simply terrifying. The two rushed forward suddenly, and the swords collided with each other. Samahata began to absorb the chakra from Zabuza. Although it was not much due to his control, it was very deadly in the battle. Yu appeared on the side, and the Scarlet 3 Magatama appeared in his sight. He secretly said that it was not good. As the world spun, Kisame was already in the illusion. In the Scarlet world, two people in the distance used ninjutsu on him. Kisame gritted his teeth. A trace of blood came out of Kisami's mouth. After leaving the illusion, Yu was approaching with a katana in his hand, and was about to chop him down. He hurriedly swung out Samahata, and Yu pulled out to block it, and there was a trace of pain in the tiger's mouth. Kisami's strength was also beyond his expectation. Kisame turned around and kicked out, and Zabuza's figure appeared behind him and was kicked away. Pulling out, kicking away, and then drawing a knife to chop at Yu, clean and neat. Yu blocked with a horizontal knife, and his body was blown away by the huge force, leaving a gully under his feet. Your Sharingan is beyond my expectation. Kisami's voice came, revealing a hint of surprise in his tone. As Itachi's teammate, he naturally knew Itachi's strength. Even he had to be very cautious when it came to Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan illusion. But he didn't expect that the Uchiha clan member's Sharingan with only 3 Magatama could have such great power. It seems that he is not far from the Mangekyo Sharingan level. But after all, a slight mistake can lead to a huge error. It's not a Mangekyo after all, it's not a Mangekyo. Ellipsis. Who? Itachi and Izumi have already escaped from the illusion duel. It seems that Itachi is clearly better. Quan, you have grown up. Itachi said lightly. The two of them in the past, now they are like strangers when they meet again. Itachi felt a faint sadness in his heart. You are not worthy to preach to me. Izumi said coldly. Shurikens flew out from nowhere and shot towards Itachi. Itachi dodged and jumped, and there were already several more shurikens stuck on his feet. His fingers flipped quickly, and the same shurikens and kunai were shot out. Bang, kai, bang, bang. Several sounds came, and the shurikens shot by Itachi knocked down all of Izumi's shurikens, and 3 more were shot at Izumi. Izumi held the kunai in his hand, and held it in reverse, and directly swept the 3 kunai away. It stuck heavily into the tree trunk beside him. Your Uchiha throwing technique is still so good. It's a pity that I am no longer the same person as before. Quan looked at Itachi with cold eyes and threw the kunai in his hand directly at him. Gaga gaga. The kunai passed through Itachi's body, and Itachi turned into a crow and flew away with the wind, slowly falling to the ground. Amaterasu. He said softly, without any sympathy or consideration for the past relationship. Are you finally serious? Quan sneered, and the sight of the Mangekyo focused on the flame of Amaterasu. This black flame pupil technique, which is known as the strongest physical attack, disappeared directly in front of the two people. Itachi was secretly shocked and raised his eyebrows. Mangekyo pupil technique, can it make the ninjutsu or other things in the sight disappear? Is it effective on people? No, even if it is effective, there should be great limitations. So is it to eliminate inanimate things, including ninjutsu, objects, or other things. In a short period of time, Itachi analyzed the ability of Quan Mangekyo. Suddenly, there was a pressure in the eyes. A little blood flowed out of the eye sockets. Now it is not a few years later, and the side effects of Itachi's use of the Mangekyo pupil technique are not as good as those of that time. Quan's eyes also hurt slightly, but because it is rarely used, Quan's Mangekyo is almost intact. Therefore, it is rarely affected. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Claw Red. Itachi endured the pain in his eyes. He was used to this kind of pain. Shuriken covered with flames flew out. Show us your best skills. Susanoo. Izumi roared, and a dark blue giant appeared. But it was obvious that Izumi's Susanoo was still in the first stage, with only the upper body ribs and fists showing, which looked a bit crude. But this was already a very powerful existence, and no one would ignore the powerful momentum above. Oh, can you use Susanoo already? Itachi exclaimed. Then, the figure of Susanoo also appeared behind Itachi, a bright red Susanoo, and it was a Susanoo that had grown to the second stage. It already had a seemingly complete upper body, but it was in the form of a skeleton. The power was obviously overwhelming Izumi. The two fists of Susanoo slammed together heavily. Bang! There was a loud noise. Itachi's steady movement was not understood, but Izumi pushed 3 steps. The battle between the two was terrifying. This was the Susanoo known as the power of God. Izumi frowned, not because he was repelled by Itachi, but because of the pressure of Susanoo on the flesh. The pressure of Susanoo on the body was terrifying. This was the first time Izumi used Susanoo. Izumi used the power of his other eye, and his physical fitness directly increased by 2 times. It seems that the next stage can be opened. Susanoo soared again with the blessing of pupil power and chakra. Gradually, a skeleton and a head appeared. The body also swelled a little. The aura on the body became heavier. Itachi looked at the tall Susanoo in front of him and was a little surprised. He thought that this was the limit of Izumi, but he didn't expect that Izumi had developed Susanoo to the second stage. But why did I feel that Izumi's aura suddenly increased just now? Was it an illusion caused by Susanoo? 2 giants of different colors stood by the woods. Izumi smiled and then directly controlled Susanoo and punched it. Strengthening physical fitness can indeed make it easier to control Susanoo. But the consumption of chakra is too terrifying. We have to fight quickly. The 2 giant-like beings began to fight. The Susanoo formed by the high concentration of chakra is not easy to be hit by even a shadow-level strongman. The surrounding trees were smashed to pieces by the violent power of the 2 people. This is just the aftermath of the collision of their power. Chapter 103. The terrifying fluctuations caused by the collision between the 2 were sensed by the 3 people fighting in the distance. Yu was trembling with fear. Is this the Susanoo that our Uchiha family calls the power of God? It's really amazing. Yu looked into the distance. Although he could not see anyone, he could feel 2 terrifying forces. I wonder if this girl Quan can beat that guy Itachi. Yu murmured a little worriedly. Even though Quan's Mangekyo ability is very strong, he has seen how perverted this guy Itachi is. Hatake Kakashi was a genin at the age of 5, a chunin at the age of 6, and a jonin at the age of 12. Although he is already a shocking genius, he seems a little overshadowed by Itachi's talent. Itachi is the same age, and is definitely not worse than Kakashi, and is even better. It's just that not many people know about it. Some were born in the transition period from the end of the war to peace, and they witnessed the cruelty of war at a young age. Coupled with Fugaku's wrong teaching, children are originally a blank sheet of paper, and how to draw will determine his future direction. This led Itachi to lean towards the direction of the 3rd generation. There is no doubt that Itachi is an extremely smart guy. After being labeled as a person with a shadow's way of thinking by the 3rd generation, he naturally had a good impression of the 3rd generation. The short-sighted Uchiha guys naturally hoped to squeeze into the upper echelons of Konoha through Itachi, even Uchiha Fugaku. The more he wanted to return to the upper echelons of Konoha, he should win the prestige and public opinion among the villagers, instead of letting Itachi become an Anbu, with his achievements unknown to the public, allowing the 3rd generation and Danzo to freely exaggerate their colors. The 3rd generation, who was obsessed with power, was naturally very good at controlling people's hearts. Without some ability, he really couldn't suppress this mad dog Danzo. And some dirty and tiring things could be handed over to Danzo, otherwise the 3rd generation would have a deep opinion of him just because Danzo coveted the position of Hokage. Ellipsis. Quan looked at Uchiha Itachi's skilled ninjutsu and the power of Susanoo. If she didn't have the eye technique that could amplify all attributes, she might have been defeated by Itachi. You are so powerful, why do you want to be a lackey of Konoha? Ignore your own people. Quan said coldly, his face looked extremely cold. It was obviously a face that could overwhelm a country, but at this moment it looked like an iceberg, keeping away from strangers. There is no need for the ignorant tribesmen to exist. I just want to test my ability. They have seen the power of my eyes, and they deserve to die. Itachi spoke slowly, and even used the words he said to Sasuke, all the pain should be borne by him. Hee hee. Itachi, stop saying such hypocritical things. Are you worthy of brother Shisui like this? As soon as Izumi finished speaking, Itachi paused for a moment, and after a moment, he suddenly looked at Izumi. What do you know? Not many people actually know about the relationship between Itachi and Shisui. Even Izumi only knows a little bit. Itachi can sense the deep meaning in Izumi's words. Did you remember something? Brother Shisui entrusted the family to you, but you turned around and joined forces with Konoha to destroy the family. Quan let out a hysterical roar. She was originally sunny and kind, but now she has become cold and ruthless. It is hard to imagine what she used to be like. Shisui. When mentioning Shisui, Itachi's face turned very pale. Tears slowly dripped down his cheeks, and then he became calm again. Itachi's eyes glared, and the world changed in the blink of an eye. This is the moon reading space controlled by me. All time, quality, and location are controlled by me. Crows danced and landed on the ground, forming the shape of Itachi. You don't understand anything at all. Uchiha's rebellion will destroy the entire family, and even the entire Konoha. War will break out again. How many people will be displaced by then? Itachi's voice came from all directions. Quan snorted coldly. She had been in the organization for so many years, but it was not in vain. The outbreak of the Ninja World War, the index of contradictions, the political purpose, the relationship between war and interests, and even the contradiction between Uchiha and Konoha, etc. They have all been analyzed by Naruto. Use this as a subject for them to learn and expand their thinking at the same time. Let them become a superior, not a general. Although she was not interested, she also listened to some of it. The best learner was Shisui. In order to analyze and learn these contents, Shisui spent more time studying than practicing. Even a part of the knowledge almost shattered her worldview. It also made her feel how deep the mind of a person in power is. The outbreak of the Ninja World War is essentially for interests. And the outbreak of Konoha, in addition to excluding dissidents, is Danzo's private conspiracy, the legacy of the second generation, and the existence of Uchiha makes the Konoha high level feel dispensable. Under the promotion of Danzo, Uchiha went to destruction, and even Itachi acted as a spy. Even for justice, are ordinary people of Uchiha also stumbling blocks for Konoha? Itachi, you really disappoint me. There are indeed many parasites in the Uchiha family, but Konoha didn't even keep babies. Is this your righteousness? They don't know anything. Izumi asked in a deep voice, which made Itachi's body and mind tremble suddenly. Especially what Izumi said, not even Uchiha babies were left. Is this your righteousness? This sentence made Itachi feel a little confused, but it was wiped out in an instant. Or did Sasuke make you lose your mind? As soon as Izumi finished speaking, Itachi's expression suddenly changed. For the sake of justice in your heart, why don't you kill Sasuke as well? Enough. Itachi suddenly had murderous intentions towards Quan. Feeling the murderous intention, Quan smiled. She knew that she had found Itachi's weak spot. Did Konoha say something to you, using threats or inducements, saying that if they want to save Konoha from the crisis, they should put an end to the Uchiha? This proposal may be difficult for you to accept. However, the third Hokage and the old thief Danzo promise that as long as you kill the Uchiha clan, Sasuke can survive, right? Let Sasuke use hatred as motivation to seek revenge on you, and then you will let Sasuke awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan, awaken the eternal Mangekyo under your arrangement, and finally revive the Uchiha clan. This is your plan, right? Itachi's face suddenly changed at this moment, and he had never been so panicked. Because what Izumi said was almost completely correct. Sasuke is your weak spot. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw this a long time ago and made demands based on it. Ellipsis quote. That's enough. Stop talking. Itachi quickly suppressed his uneasiness and interrupted Quan. The girl in front of him began to make him feel strange and mysterious. With your years of experience, how could you possibly defeat the shrewd third Hokage? You are too arrogant and unwilling to communicate with others. You think that everything you do is right. I'm afraid the only person you communicated with was Brother Shisui. Izumi snorted coldly, deeply analyzing the seed of doubt that had formed deep in Uchiha Itachi's heart. He had begun to waver in his belief in Konoha. In the past few years, he had actually thought about it, but the matter was settled, and there was no point in having doubts. Now Izumi was constantly showing him the truth of the night of the genocide. She wanted to make him suffer, to make him feel guilty, and to make him atone for the dead souls of the Uchiha. You are too conceited. You seem to have forgotten one question. Will Sasuke really follow your plan? Will he destroy Konoha, which you are willing to sacrifice your entire clan to protect? You better keep these eyes and watch carefully. Shatter. As Itachi's mind became unstable, the Tsukuyomi space began to shatter like a mirror with the power of Izumi. Originally, Izumi could not break free from Tsukuyomi's restraints unless her pupil power was above that. Now that there was a flaw, Izumi naturally seized the opportunity. Chapter 104. Itachi knelt on one knee on the ground, tears of blood flowing from his eyes. This backlash caused him great damage. Quan's eyes also hurt slightly. This was only the first battle, and his eyes began to hurt. As Naruto said, the side effects of the Mangekyo were very serious. In the bushes that the two did not notice, a group of people who looked like pitcher plants came out. Seeing Itachi kneeling on the ground, they also showed a bit of surprise. The little girl of the Uchiha family could actually do this. Itachi used the moon reading space. In fact, he also took into account the existence of Zetsu. Only those who know Zetsu know how powerful his reconnaissance ability is. And with his understanding of the organization, this operation will definitely be monitored by Zetsu. The next moment, a group of unknown creatures in black and white came to Itachi's side, which made Quan a little frightened when she saw this scene. She didn't even sense how the other party approached. What kind of monster is this? It doesn't look like a human. The reason why Zetsu came out was because he saw Itachi at a disadvantage. Whether Itachi has problems or not, he is still very important to the organization. Itachi, are you okay? I'm fine, I was just careless. Let's go. Itachi waved his hand, knowing that this was the end. At the same time, he felt deeply shocked in his heart. For the first time, he felt that things seemed to be out of his control. Then Zetsu took Itachi and quickly left the battlefield. Quan did not stop this strange creature from taking Itachi away, because she knew she couldn't stop him. Since the other party could get close without her noticing, he could naturally leave easily. Itachi's organization is really not simple. Izumi murmured, and then disappeared from the spot, heading towards Zabuza and others. At this moment, Itachi has appeared next to Kisame. Kisame, retreat. Itachi said softly, and then he coughed softly. Mr. Itachi, are you injured? Seeing Itachi like this, Kisame was also shocked. Since he met Itachi, he has never seen Itachi being injured like this, and it was a junior. Did he hold back because they are of the same clan? In any case, the goal this time has been achieved. Kisame turned his head to look at Zabuza and Yu, carried Samahata behind him, and said, Zabuza, you made me look at you in a new light. Let's play next time. After that, he jumped directly to Itachi's side and disappeared directly using the instant body technique. This made the two of them relieved. The pressure brought by Kisame was really amazing. Compared to the easy suppression of Might Guy by Kisame in the original work, he was actually restrained. Who would have thought that Might Guy's attack was without chakra? This made Kisami's method of absorbing chakra completely ineffective. The fact that Kisame was able to defeat the Eight Tails Jinchuriki in a single fight in the original work shows that he is definitely an underestimated ninja. Zabuza, are you okay? Yu came to Zabuza and asked with concern. Zabuza's heart warmed and he said, it's okay, it's just that the chakra is a little overconsumed. This is thanks to Zabuza's improved strength, otherwise he might have been defeated long ago. Kisami's chakra amount is really amazing. Damn it, I will teach him a lesson sooner or later when I open the Mangekyo Sharingan. You cursed. In fact, he also knew that his chances of opening the Mangekyo Sharingan were slim unless there was a special opportunity. Are you all right? A voice came. It turned out that Quan had also rushed here. The two of them supported each other and stood up. They felt a burst of pain in their bodies. It's not a big problem, just rest for a while. Yu took a breath and said, such an injury is not really serious for a ninja. Quan nodded and said, let's go, we should be able to move the base away from here this time. After this battle, moving away from the base would make people feel very normal. After all, they have to move to another place when they are exposed, as the cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. Ellipsis. Naruto also learned about this incident through contact. Akatsuki. Don't worry about it for now, try to avoid Akatsuki's development, our current strength is not enough to compete with Akatsuki. Naruto is still waiting for Akatsuki to come out to resist in a few years. It is unwise to expose himself to the ninja world now. As long as Orochimaru's Konoha collapse plan begins and Rasa dies, Gaara can successfully take the throne. By then, half of the Wind Country will be in his pocket. Gaara now has a certain prestige in the Wind Country. As the saying goes, opportunities are created. In the past 2 years, Naruto's organization has leaked the information of the Wind Country caravan to some bandits, and Gaara came out to harvest reputation. However, there are not so many bandits. Sometimes Umbrella will come out to act as some wandering ninjas, but in the end they were all driven away by Gaara. For a while, Gaara's reputation began to spread in the Wind Country. Even the residents of the Sand Village have improved their impression of Gaara a lot. A lot. But he still doesn't dare to get close to Gaara. And now Gaara also has a title, known as the Umbrella of the Wind Country. Stormbringer. Because now Gaara has greatly increased his strength since he listened to Naruto's advice to develop magnetic escape. He can even fly by creating a magnetic field. He can also use iron sand to use a super electromagnetic gun. Gaara rarely uses this trick, mainly to avoid being noticed by others. The power can be called an S-level ninjutsu. Through the principle of magneto-electricity, Gaara also mastered the lightning attribute chakra, but sand is still the most convenient to use. Naruto was walking in the back mountain. It was rare for him to come out for a walk alone. His shadow clone was still practicing. This time it was mainly to receive news from Shisui. Naruto's eyes slowly swept across looking around. There are tall trees and rich natural energy. It is said that this area of trees was created by the first generation Hokage using wood release. It is really amazing. With such strength, even if it is not as good as the 6 paths, it is probably very close. The strength of Hashirama Senju is probably very strong at the level of Super Shadow. Naruto estimated that before he can have the power of Hashirama Senju, he will have to wait until he has perfected the Sage Mode and improved his martial arts again. In the past 2 years, what he has learned is too miscellaneous, which has led to his relatively unobvious improvement in strength. Ninjutsu, taijutsu, sealing technique, and practicing Sage Mode and medical ninjutsu, Naruto is almost omnipotent. But he has not reached a very high level. But God rewards hard work. Ability, Naruto will reach great heights in the future. Most people can't reach a very high level in all abilities, such as Orochimaru, but Naruto is not one of them. After all, he is a man who can cheat. Walking forward slowly, Naruto was suddenly attracted by a scene. A little girl was drawing quietly on a drawing board at this moment. It looked so disturbing that Naruto couldn't help but stand aside, always feeling that this scene seemed a little familiar. But I just can't remember it. Naruto watched quietly, and suddenly, his surroundings began to change, darkness began to shroud, and the sun began to dissipate. Naruto alertly noticed the changes around him. And the weird changes around him also made Naruto suddenly realize the identity of the girl. Kurama Yakumo. Chapter 105. Naruto remembered it completely. This girl should be the girl who possessed the bloodline limit of the Kurama clan. The Kurama family is a family famous for illusions, and possesses extremely terrifying bloodline limits. However, because the people who awaken the bloodline limit are very rare, basically only one bloodline limit owner with extraordinary talent will appear every few generations. If it weren't for the fact that the Kurama family is sparsely populated and there are few heirs to the bloodline limit, I'm afraid they can compete with the Uchiha family for the title of the first family of illusions. Because the bloodline limit of the Kurama clan has the ability to manipulate people's five senses, and can create illusion space, and even interfere with reality through illusions. Such abilities are probably more powerful than the Mangekyo of the Uchiha family. However, it may be because the bloodline limit of the Kurama family is too powerful, and generally people who awaken the bloodline limit are not in good health. And the bloodline limit ability awakened by Kurama Yakumo is far beyond that of her ancestors, so it is difficult for her to become a ninja, and her body is oppressed by the powerful ability brought by the bloodline limit. If it were a fantasy world, she would be a favored daughter of heaven, and she would have natural resources to regulate her body, but in the ninja world, she would most likely be defined as having a bad physical constitution. Being born in a ninja family, not being able to become a ninja means being a waste. This is an extremely cruel thing for Yakumo Kurama. Therefore, after a long period of inner depression, Ito, who is similar to the second personality, was born. It can be said to be a demon in the heart. However, in Naruto's view, the power possessed by Ito is more like the product of the bloodline limit and Yakumo Kurama's obsession. In the original work, Ito was killed with the help of Naruto, but it seems to have weakened Yakumo Kurama's bloodline ability. While thinking, I saw that the surrounding environment had completely changed. Naruto's powerful mental power penetrated his body, and the surrounding environment shattered like a mirror. "It's you who did this." Naruto walked straight to Yakumo's side. Naruto shattered her spiritual space in an instant, which made her a little stunned. For some reason, Yakumo always felt that the other half of her heart seemed to be afraid of something. The monster that often appeared in her dreams and lurked in her body actually felt afraid. This moment made Yakumo feel that it was an incredible thing, and it also made him realize that he seemed to have provoked someone he shouldn't have provoked. She was not afraid, and was still drawing an unfinished portrait in her hand, but there was no strange phenomenon this time. Yakumo turned his head to look at Naruto and said, "Who are you?" "Me." Naruto was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that the girl in front of him could still ask him so calmly after being caught by him. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, a monster called a demon fox." Naruto's answer seemed a bit beyond Kurama Yakumo's expectations. How could someone introduce himself like this? "But he is not a demon fox, he is my partner." Naruto's answer made Yakumo Kurama a little strange. Who was he referring to? In the sealed space, the Nine-Tails opened his eyes. "Tisk. Little devil." Then he closed his eyes and went to sleep, but his heart seemed to be touched. Naruto's dialogue may seem a bit nonsensical to ordinary people, but it is particularly suitable for Yakumo Kurama. He said monster. Is there a monster in his body too? Naruto's words instantly resonated with Yakumo Kurama. But Yakumo Kurama's emotions became a little excited, because in her heart, Ito is a monster, not her partner at all. "Do you want to be a ninja?" Naruto's voice suddenly came, and she was slightly stunned as her emotions began to become unstable. Looking up, Naruto's handsome face was imprinted in Yakumo's eyes. What made her a little dizzy was Naruto's deep eyes like a black hole. Mysterious, inaudible. "Can you make me a ninja?" Kurama Yakumo asked with a slightly expectant tone. "I can." Only 2 words, but Naruto was very determined. Yakumo Kurama is a talent, but others don't know how to develop this talent. As long as Yakumo Kurama's ability is used well, he is destined to be a killer on the battlefield, a master who can control the group. "Impossible. Everyone says I am not suitable to be a ninja." Yakumo Kurama began to shake her head frantically, and all the past events emerged in her mind. No matter how hard she tried, as soon as she started to exercise, she felt very tired. Naruto looked at Yakumo Kurama's abnormal appearance and said, "I can give you the ability to become a ninja, but it comes at a price." The reason why Yakumo Kurama is in such poor health is mainly because of the influence of the powerful bloodline limit, and her own mental power is faintly beyond the body. The imbalance between the body and the spirit makes the body extremely weak. It also makes her unable to bear the thought of exercising. In the original work, Yakumo Kurama disappeared for a while after destroying Edo. Either she gave up becoming a ninja, or after Edo was destroyed, her mental power was greatly reduced, which also made her mediocre. Edo, as a product born from the depths of her subconscious, is also a part of her mental power. The disappearance of Edo also made her lose some of her power to a certain extent. Now Naruto has the intention of conquering Yakumo, so naturally he doesn't want Edo to disappear, so that he can keep Yakumo Kurama's power to the greatest extent. Yakumo Kurama is weak in body, there is a way to become stronger. That is to rely on the martial arts system developed by Naruto, and use the chi and blood to help Yakumo Kurama cleanse his body. Strengthen the body. It is completely possible to reach the level of ordinary people. After that, Yakumo Kurama can practice by himself. As long as the strength of the physical body is improved, the weak physical fitness will not become a burden to Yakumo Kurama. And if you want to preserve the ability of Yakumo Kurama's bloodline limit to the maximum extent, you must completely subdue the monster Edo deep in her heart. The relationship between the two of them is like Banner and the Hulk. They are both symbiotic relationships. As long as they are handled well, they can definitely burst out with a power of 1 + 1 greater than 2. Naruto's words made Yakumo Kurama believe it a little bit. After all, it is more normal to have a price. But this price is a little different from what she imagined. You can try it first to see if I am lying to you. Naruto said slowly. For some reason, Kurama Yakumo always felt that what the man in front of him said made him involuntarily believe it. Naruto raised his hand and placed it on Kurama Yakumo's head. A strange energy appeared. It was the power of blood and chi. The power of blood and chi began to wash Kurama Yakumo's body, making her feel warm. It really worked. She felt a surprise. Her body was as comfortable as being soaked in hot water. No, it was even more comfortable than that. She closed her eyes and began to enjoy this comfort. Suddenly, it all stopped. She opened her eyes and saw a pale cheek. Naruto originally the ruddy face had turned pale. This immediately let Kurama Yakumo know that Naruto must have paid a huge price. After all, she now felt better than ever. Naruto looked at Kurama Yakumo's anxious expression, and secretly rejoiced in his heart. In fact, this little bit of blood and energy was nothing at all. This pale look was also pretended by Naruto. Mobilizing blood and energy to make the face look pale is a simple trick. Naruto can spend a lot of money to cure Kurama Yakumo at one time, but that is not cost-effective after all, and it is difficult to make Kurama Yakumo return to his heart. Only by spending a huge price can it appear more sincere, right? I'm exhausted now, so I may need to recover, and I may only be able to treat you once a period of time. After a few more attempts, your body should be no different from that of an ordinary person. Naruto said, pretending to be weak. Ah, I'm sorry. Kurama Yakumo looked a little flustered. He must have paid a heavy price. I will come back in 3 days, but during this time you cannot tell anyone about my existence. You cannot show your recovery either, you are still the same as before. As for the reward, I'll tell you after I think about it. Naruto's words made Yakumo feel relieved. It would be normal if there was a reward. After all, how could a stranger spend so much to help you? What's the price? It can't be. It can't be. Looking at Naruto's handsome face, Yakumo was a little embarrassed for a moment. Okay, I promise you. Kurama Yakumo replied immediately. Chapter 106. In the next few days, Naruto began to treat Yakumo regularly. Every time Naruto would make her look pale. This also made Yakumo really return to her heart. In fact, Using blood and chi to help another person cleanse his body is no less than removing hair and washing marrow in the martial arts world. It requires a lot of one's own strength. Now it is estimated that only Naruto, the founder, can completely restore Yakumo to the same appearance as ordinary people. If it were someone else, at most they could adjust her body so that she would not be so weak. Okay, that's all for today. I'll come back to treat you next time, Naruto said, pretending to be tired. Kurama Yakumo quickly took out a handkerchief to help Naruto wipe his sweat. You don't have to do this, it can be extended for a little longer, Kurama Yakumo said with a little heartache. Although she also wanted to recover to her normal appearance as soon as possible, she felt a little reluctant to see Naruto trying so hard. You are the first person who treats me so well, Yakumo Kurama said with tears in his eyes. Naruto was a little happy in his heart. He knew that if he continued like this, Yakumo Kurama would soon return to his heart. By then, he would have another great helper. The power was not inferior to that of the Mangekyo. It's okay, Yakumo, your early recovery will also help me. I need you very much, Yakumo. Naruto's words made Yakumo stunned, and tears flowed out unconsciously. In the ninja world, many unfortunate people are eager for recognition. Especially Naruto's words. For Yakumo, it was as warm as the sun, and the closed gap in his heart was opened up. If Naruto-kun needs me, I will be your greatest help. Kurama Yakumo is completely at peace at this moment. She has always thought that she is a waste, and Naruto's words are the highest recognition of her. Yakumo, don't worry, the most important thing for you now is to take good care of your body. Naruto touched Kurama Yakumo's head and continued, Yakumo, you should be very clear about the existence in your body. I suggest you learn to accept it, because you are one, and it will also be the source of your strength. After Naruto finished speaking, a struggling look appeared on Kurama Yakumo's face. Naruto knew that Kurama Yakumo obviously could not accept Ito's existence now. Sometimes he even thought that it was Ito who caused his current situation. This made her very hateful. However, Naruto can assist Yakumo to control Ito's existence. When they are of one mind, then with the blood limit of the Kurama family, a terrifying power will burst out. Naruto left quickly, because he could not be exposed to the third generation when he contacted Kurama Yakumo now. And Kurama Yakumo is obviously a special existence. Its power is unstable. However, if this power is used well, it can also bring huge gains. This power once made Yuhi Kurenai jealous. You can imagine how powerful it is. However, the shortcomings are also obvious. She needs to paint and prepare for some other aspects. Generally speaking, the launch time is a bit long, so Yakumo is suitable as a group attack talent, and can also act as an assassin type of talent. After Naruto left here, he returned to the training ground again. Sasuke and Neji saw Naruto coming, and they knew that Naruto seemed to be in contact with a little girl recently, who should be quite talented. I don't know much about the others. Naruto and the others are about to graduate, and Sasuke has a sense of urgency in his heart. At least he must be able to leave Konoha in a year. In the past 2 years, Sasuke no longer thought about surpassing Naruto, because Naruto is a monster, and all he can do is to constantly surpass himself. Finally, revenge on Konoha and Uchiha Itachi. Naruto has not yet revealed the remaining Uchiha people to Sasuke, so now Sasuke still thinks that only he and Uchiha Itachi are left in the entire Uchiha family. This also gives him full motivation to practice. Naruto has not yet revealed the idea of Kurama Yakumo's ability to the two of them. Perhaps Kurama Yakumo's ability will help Sasuke whether he can open the Mangekyo Sharingan in the future. However, Naruto has no idea of helping Sasuke open the Mangekyo Sharingan now. The Mangekyo Sharingan is still too oppressive for Sasuke now, and it is very likely to cause Uchiha Itachi's state. Keep practicing, Naruto said, and then took out a book with bull fist written on it. Sasuke was also holding a pile of books and reading them, which turned out to be knowledge about electromagnetism. It seemed that Naruto wanted Sasuke to go further in lightning escape, and sometimes reading more books was really useful. Ninki started training in Soft Fist. Inspired by Naruto's Tai Chi concept, Ninki's Soft Fist has now become a school of its own. Naruto glanced at the two of them, and then began to focus on the book in front of him again, which contained some notes on moves and training methods. As a new training system, the upper limit of martial arts has already reached the level of Kage, but it is obvious that martial arts is still a bit too single. The birth of martial arts came into being, and then the previous 6 styles have been classified as martial arts, but they are still a little inconsistent with the requirements of martial arts, and are more in line with the practice of ninja physical skills. And now this bull fist. Naruto intends to use it as a means to improve the strength of warriors. That is, a relatively basic entry-level martial art, but although it is an entry-level, the concept contained is very complicated. Naruto also spent a long time relying on the principle of God rewarding hard work. Bull fist, as a martial art that lays the foundation of martial arts, is divided into entry-level, proficient, minor success, major success and perfect realm. At the entry level, the moves are smooth and natural. At the proficient level, some cow moves can be made. At the minor success level, the blood can be condensed to condense a bull-shaped phantom. At the major success level, it can condense a more real-looking phantom. The attack power of the bull type is already very impressive. It is similar to Might Guy's Daytime Tiger, but it is loaded with the power of blood and chi, which is different from it. Perfection level, the attack is unified and harmonious. The bull type is already quite divine, almost real, and already has the mystery and momentum. However, this level is not so easy to reach. Martial artists in the skin training realm can basically only reach the entry level, and a few can reach the proficient level. Only geniuses can achieve a small success in the skin training realm and condense the power of blood and chi in advance. As for the great success level, I am afraid that only those who have reached the bone training level can provide a huge blood and chi power. As for the perfect realm, I am afraid that you have to practice tendon training, unite the tendons and bones of the whole body, and form a blood and chi smoke. Between every move, the punch is powerful. Under the level of Kage, ordinary ninjas can hardly resist the sharp edge. Unless they have special ninjutsu, blood limit ninjas may be able to fight against it. But this is not so easy to practice, because practicing martial arts requires not only realm, but also understanding. And Naruto encourages martial arts learners to create their own martial arts, and gives points to successful ones. The higher the level, the higher the reward. However, few people succeed, and Shisui said that the means of attack are too single. There are only 6 styles and some ordinary moves, and some moves of physical skills do not mean that they are suitable for the path of martial arts. That's why Naruto studied this popular level bull fist. In order to ensure that it is easy to practice and powerful, Naruto still spent a lot of thought. Chapter 107. Regarding the treatment time of Yakumo Kurama, Naruto plans to complete it within a month. The reason for 1 month is that she is not growing well. If it takes too long, it is estimated that Yakumo Kurama will be found to be abnormal. Moreover, 1 month is enough time for Naruto to cultivate feelings. In order to make Umbrella have one more general in the future, Naruto also tried his best. At the same time, during this period, he slowly opened up Yakumo Kurama's heart and helped her to conquer Edo. During this period, Naruto also handed over the perfected bull fist to Shisui, and let it be distributed to the members of the Umbrella organization. Ellipsis. At this moment, Tsunade looked at the martial arts secret book in her hand. As a senior member of the organization, she was also given a copy without points. In order to allow more martial arts practitioners to have a certain combat effectiveness, this secret book is provided in all aspects. Tsunade got a handwritten copy, while others can only see it on a tablet. Tsunade kept flipping through the martial arts secret book at this moment, and the shock in her heart could not be stopped. The leader of the Umbrella organization not only created a brand new system, and now he has created a martial art that matches his martial arts. A genius. She suddenly thought of her great-grandfather. Her great-grandfather is called the god of ninja world, and he can be said to be the strongest person she has ever seen. For some reason, Tsunade vaguely felt that maybe this person could achieve more than her great-grandfather. Maybe even more. Thinking of the concept of the umbrella organization, Tsunade felt uncertain again. Either destruction or a new life. Ding tilde. A message suddenly came from the tablet in her hand. Tsunade opened it curiously and saw. What? Can I get points for developing martial arts skills? Including but not limited to monetary rewards. It looks good. I haven't rubbed it for a long time. Tsunade looked at the content above, and then thought about her physical skills in the super strength system. Maybe she could transform into martial arts. After all, martial arts seems to have more prospects. Martial arts takes the path of strengthening the physical body. Reaching a certain level is evolution. Compared with chakra squeezing life, martial arts can also develop physical potential when practiced to a high level. Lifespan will also be greatly improved. Although she looks no different from an ordinary young girl now, her lifespan is a little worse. If she can reach the level of training the internal organs in the martial arts system, the lifespan can reach 200 years. 9 out of 10 people want to live longer. As for the person who doesn't want to, he may be a lunatic. Ellipsis. Konoha Village. Yakumo, are you ready? Naruto turned to look at Kurama Yakumo. Kurama Yakumo nodded heavily, as if he had made up his mind. Next, let me enter your spiritual world. Don't resist, otherwise it is likely to lead to failure or cause your spirit to be damaged. Naruto said seriously, and then put his hand on Kurama Yakumo's head. Naruto's powerful mental power emerged, and the next moment, Naruto came to a space that looked a little dark. This should be the space of consciousness where Ito lives. Naruto murmured. Naruto looked up at the sky and said loudly, Yakumo, this is the space of consciousness where Ito lives. You think about making it appear. After all, you are the one in charge. Okay, Naruto-kun. Yakumo felt what Naruto said and said silently in his heart. Suddenly, Yakumo's expression began to become weird. Naruto also felt the turbulence of the consciousness space, and a monster appeared in front of Naruto. You are Ito. Naruto frowned and said. Ito, I must also know that as the product of Yakumo's consciousness, you are originally one. Only when you combine can you burst out with more powerful power. Naruto said slowly. Ito was wearing a white shirt, with disheveled hair. He shook his body and made a terrifying sound, hehehehe. Why should I be the master of this body? She is so cowardly. Let me out. I can kill those who look down on her. The voice of Ito's consciousness incarnation came from all directions. Naruto looked at Ito with a little surprise. Did she want to occupy Yakumo's body? She was really shameless. I can't help it. Your appearance already disgusts me, and now you want to scare me. Are you trying to force me to win people over with my virtue? Come and die. Naruto looked at Ito's devil-like appearance, resisted the urge to feel sick, and threw a big punch at him. Naruto's strong mental strength made it a dimensionality reduction attack for him to face Ito, a life without a physical body. Ito was directly beaten and flew out. Ito seemed to have not recovered at this moment. Naruto rushed forward again, used his mental strength to condense a mace, and smashed it fiercely at Ito. A tragic scream rang out, and a few minutes later, Ito appeared in front of Naruto with a bruised face. Big Pot, I was wrong, do whatever you want. Yidu was terrified at the moment. The human in front of him was too scary. He thought this person could do nothing to him, but he didn't expect that he could directly attack his body. Hurry up and change your appearance, or I will beat you to death. Naruto said viciously. Ito began to change directly, and became the appearance of Kurama Yakumo. Ito and Kurama Yakumo were originally one, so their appearances were naturally the same. The ugly appearance just now was just her resentful side. She showed that side mainly to scare Naruto, but she didn't expect to be beaten. And she clearly felt that as Naruto beat her, she was slowly dissipating. In fact, Naruto can use his powerful mental power to directly disintegrate Ito's existence. But now Naruto is very sure that Ito will disappear. If he said that, it would indeed have an impact on Yakumo Kurama. It is very likely that half of the power of Yakumo Kurama's bloodline limit will disappear. This is what Naruto does not want to see. When Naruto heard what Ito said, he couldn't help but look back at his hometown. Sure enough, what the senior said is right, to win people over with one virtue is our traditional virtue. When Naruto was beating Ito, Yakumo had regained control of her body. She did not expect that Ito would risk great danger to snatch control of her body. After a long period of guidance by Naruto, Yakumo Kurama has obviously accepted Ito's existence, but Ito is different from the Nine Tails. An obedient Ito is a good Ito. Yakumo Kurama's consciousness appeared in the consciousness space. Seeing the trembling Ito, he felt admiration for Naruto. Yakumo, come here and sign a contract with her. Naruto modified the seal of the caged bird and taught it to Kurama Yakumo, which can be completely effective on mental power. With the power of the seal imprinted by Kurama Yakumo, Ito knew that she would never be able to turn the tables, and her heart also changed. To be honest, she is just a product of Kurama Yakumo's resentment in order to protect himself. In this world, this product can perhaps be called a product of Yin Dun. It's like a low-profile version of Black Zetsu, but Black Zetsu is at least proficient in Yin and Yang Dun, and has a physical body. Ito is much worse. She is just a product of some of Yakumo's consciousness combined with resentment. Chapter 108. Shizune slowly opened the door and saw Tsunade looking down at something with her brows furrowed. Shizune put down the coffee in her hand and said softly, "Tsunade-sama, don't work too hard recently. That martial arts system is not that easy to practice." Shizune had also seen the martial arts practice, but she didn't practice it. To be honest, Shizune's talent was not very good, otherwise she wouldn't have been surpassed by Sakura later. If she hadn't practiced medical ninjutsu well, how could she take care of other things? On the contrary, Tsunade's own ability had almost reached the limit, and it was almost impossible to make further progress, unless she practiced the sage mode. But because of her mentality, she had always found it difficult to get started with the sage mode of the wet bone forest. Among the three ninjas, it was Jiraiya, the last one to learn the sage mode, and his comprehensive strength was also above the two. And now this new martial arts has brought interest to Tsunade. The practice of martial arts requires talent, but it is easy to get started. Speaking of chakra, it is the existence that really requires talent. Without talent, you may be a genin chunin for your whole life. Those with excellent talents can rival those genin and chunin who have not been promoted for many years at the age of a few years, and can reach a level that they cannot reach in their entire lives in their teens. And there are very few people who have chakra talent, otherwise the number of ninjas would not have been so small. Everyone can practice martial arts, but it consumes a lot of food. The poor are good at literature and the rich are good at martial arts. It is actually applicable everywhere. People in large families can use medicinal herbs to strengthen the foundation of their children from an early age. If you have money, you can also have a better training environment and equipment. Shizune, you don't understand. The more you study it, the more you will discover its potential. This is definitely a worldwide reform. Tsunade said excitedly. Studying martial arts can also enhance her understanding of medical treatment, especially the secrets of the human body. The human body is more mysterious than she thought. Perhaps it can make her medical technology improve again. Recently, Tsunade has also had a new idea, which is to integrate her own strange power series of physical skills into martial arts. The martial arts system uses the power of blood and chi, and she also wants to replace the use of chakra with the application of blood and chi. However, she does not have Naruto's ability to be rewarded by God, so the progress is not as direct as Naruto's, and the direction is clear. But with her knowledge of the human body and reference to the bull fist, it can be regarded as a small gain. Relying on her previous foundation, she quickly passed the skin training period, and now even the meat training is almost completed. If it were not for polishing the basics, Tsunade could enter the next stage faster. A realm. The stage of training the flesh is actually very important. It cleanses the body, flushes the blood and chi, and lays a good foundation. The strength is greatly increased. Because everyone has different talents, what can be achieved at this stage depends entirely on their own accumulation and potential. The martial arts system is not like the novels in the previous life. It is similar to the nature of breakthrough, although it is somewhat similar. In martial arts, as long as you accumulate enough blood and the degree of physical training is up to standard, you can guide the blood and chi to temper the bones. And tempering bones basically starts from the limbs, then tempering the torso bones, and finally tempering the skull. Tempering bones does not necessarily require tempering all the bones of the body to enter the next stage. Basically, as long as it reaches 50%, you can enter the next stage, but the final potential, you can imagine. It is very likely to stay there forever. The next realm. And then temper the tendons and veins, which are like steel and iron bones. After the tempering is completed, the body is extremely terrifying, and the blood and chi are condensed, enough to compete with ninjutsu. The resistance to ninjutsu is also terrifying. Just like the reikage, many ninjutsu hitting the body is like tickling. The Yayoi lineage to which the reikage belongs is born to be a material for body refining. If it practices martial arts, it is probably a good seedling. After that, after training the internal organs, the human body is almost tempered, and the whole person is like a humanoid weapon. It can already achieve internal breathing and can breathe through the pores. If you want to make progress in the future, you can only rely on the power of heaven and earth, that is, natural energy, to merge with your own blood and chi to form a force similar to the fairy chakra. By then, destroying mountains and breaking seas is a piece of cake. Comparable to the existence of the Madara pillar. A body if the chi and blood force is fully transformed successfully, it can be comparable to the peak of the super shadow. Peak Hashirama, Uchiha Madara without the samsara eye. Finally, he plans to reach the 6 paths level. Naruto has already understood the way to reach the 6 paths with chakra, and if he wants to reach the 6 paths with martial arts, he must first reach the super shadow. It is not the chakra that reaches the super shadow, but the martial arts. When martial arts reaches the super shadow level, in Naruto's imagination, a property should be awakened that can achieve the effect of ninjutsu. Martial arts should perhaps become martial arts supernatural powers. In the end, the power of this world will return to the 6 paths, but who is stronger or weaker in the end depends on the individual. Now, the method of absorbing natural energy has not been released, otherwise Tsunade would be even more shocked. Martial arts has already reached the shadow level, and now in the ninja world, the shadow level is basically the highest level. Only a few means can reach a higher level, such as the sage mode. But it is rare. The super shadow level corresponding to martial arts can be practiced by almost everyone. As long as the martial arts training is completed and the physical body is almost tempered, it can withstand the erosion of natural energy and then complete the chi and blood transformation. It is not so easy to reach this stage. If the martial arts stage is not perfect and the training of bones and organs is not deep enough, it is estimated that it will be difficult to achieve success in the super shadow stage. Or it can't withstand the baptism of natural energy. Ellipsis. Tsunade has been researching the martial arts of super strength these days. Ellipsis. The strange power lies in the instantaneous burst, using chakra can. What becomes weaker after being transformed into martial arts? No, there must be something wrong. Tsunade frowned, a trace of confusion flashed across her delicate face. Supernatural power is concentrated on one point, strength lies in concentration. That's it. Tsunade clapped her hands suddenly, and inspiration kept coming out of her mind. Tsunade has successfully transformed her strange power into martial arts, but it is only a rough use of chi and blood, and has not yet reached a very condensed level, giving people a feeling of nothingness. It seems that there is a deep culture in the use of blood and chi. Tsunade said with emotion. Although blood and chi are different from chakra, they can be used in many ways. In a few days, Tsunade has changed several versions of the revision of the strange power. Next to a mountain, in front of a huge stone several tens of meters high, this is already a small hillside. Super Strength Fist. Tsunade threw a punch, and the terrifying force instantly caused the mountain to explode. Not only did it smash the huge rock dozens of meters in front of it, but even the ground was sunken. Tsunade was a little excited. She hadn't used her full strength yet, but she had already increased her power by 30%, and because of her physical fitness, her ability to withstand it was also improved. Strength is mutual. Strong physical fitness allows her to burst out more powerful strength without worrying about damaging her body. Chapter 109. The broken stones around made Tsunade's mouth curl up. Obviously she was very satisfied with her attack. With Tsunade's current strength, what she lacks is a lot of accumulation of blood and energy. Tsunade's physique was very strong before, so it is much easier to train blood and energy. Therefore, the change in strength will not increase too much. I'm afraid that only after the forging of the whole body, Tsunade cannot rely on chakra, but rely on physical strength alone to suppress the shadow level strong. As a medical ninja, Tsunade's strength is at the bottom compared to the shadows of other villages. Now there is a trend of improvement again. How can Tsunade not be excited? Let's go, Shizune. Let's go back. Tsunade called out to Shizune in the distance. She planned to go back and perfect the training method of the strange strength martial arts. In theory, strange strength is a unique skill of the Senju clan, generally not passed on, but since the founder of martial arts and the umbrella organization dared to release precious martial arts and ninjutsu, how could she not dare? Maybe after a few years, after the vigorous development of martial arts, her name Tsunade will be mentioned. The way to perform the strange strength fist is not a staged martial arts like the bull fist, but an explosive martial arts, which makes up for the lack of martial arts and provides the weakness of insufficient attack power in the early stage. Shizune walked over, looking at the messy ground. Her head was full of black lines, and at the same time she was surprised that Tsunade could cause such destructive power. Lady Tsunade, let's just leave like this, Shizune said weakly, looking at the traces of flattened ground around her. Tsunade also looked around. What a trouble. Tsunade quickly formed a seal, flipped her palm, and slapped it directly on the ground. In an instant, the land surged up, and the huge hole was filled up. As for the small hill before, Tsunade could only say, "Please forgive me for being powerless, this is all I can do." Tsunade clapped her hands and said, "That's it, let's go." After that, she walked straight forward. Shizune was stunned for a moment, and hurried to follow. Ellipsis. In the land of fields, in a dark underground place, the dim light was unclear and looked a bit eerie. There were some lights flickering in the surrounding passages, but there were only a few lights, which seemed a bit obscure and dim. At the end of the passage, there were rooms, and there were vaguely several guards guarding in secret. In one of the rooms, the wires were placed on the ground in a slightly messy manner. At this moment, a pale man was flipping through a book, with golden vertical pupils, and the whole person gave people the feeling of a poisonous snake. Hoo. Science. What an interesting concept. In the ninja world, although technology exists, it has developed rather abnormally because of chakra, so there is no key figure to give it a general name. Science is an orderly knowledge system based on testable explanations and predictions of the form and organization of objective things. It is systematized and formalized knowledge. According to the fields that these systematic knowledge are intended to reflect, they can be mainly divided into natural sciences, social sciences, thinking sciences, formal sciences, and interdisciplinary sciences, etc. This is clearly written on the book in Orochimaru's hand, and several large characters are particularly eye-catching. Science is the primary productive force. The symbols of everything can be explained by science. According to what is said in the book, chakra is just a kind of ability, and there is a lot of energy in life, but chakra is more special. I'm really looking forward to meeting the author of this book. He must have seen the truth. Orochimaru showed a fanatical expression. He longed to know the truth of the world. What Orochimaru longed for was not immortality, but because his limited life could not let him understand the truth of the world, he embarked on the path of pursuing immortality. There is no doubt that Orochimaru has a talent for scientific research. Orochimaru has always been on the road of self-study, which also made him a little cruel in studying the subject of biology. But in this cannibalistic world, it is not surprising that anyone appears in the ninja world. It is the world that makes Orochimaru become like this. The three ninjas in the early stage may have been quite normal, but later they gradually changed. The cruelty of the world made several people parting ways. Maybe Jiraiya is sober instead. As the umbrella organization becomes stronger, the trend of expansion becomes more obvious and undisguised. Orochimaru naturally also noticed such an organization. Let's not talk about the ideas above. What interests Orochimaru is the concept of science above. At the same time, the ideas above also shocked Orochimaru, but compared to that, what does it matter to him what the ninja world becomes? He is only interested in science. But he can feel that this may be another organization comparable to the Akatsuki organization, or even crazier. A fanatical look gradually appeared on Orochimaru's face. Umbrella organization, right, I'm really looking forward to meeting you. Orochimaru looked at the notes on the book. The author column only wrote, leader. Like a code name, but also like a leader, maybe it has multiple meanings. Give orders to keep a close eye on this umbrella organization and find a way to contact it. Remember, don't provoke this organization easily. Orochimaru said to Kagaya Kimimaro beside him. This boy is a beautiful vessel, but it's a pity. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. The handsome boy replied softly, without any ripples in his tone, and turned and left. Orochimaru looked at Kimimaro's figure going away, and then came back to his senses again, staring at this book full of ideas. The reason why Orochimaru asked Kimimaro not to conflict with the umbrella organization was mainly because Orochimaru found that this organization was too huge. After paying attention to this organization, Orochimaru of course, he did some investigation. The umbrella organization is like a big net spread in the ninja world. And it has recruited a large number of civilians. At first, Orochimaru didn't understand why this organization took those useless civilians into the organization. But after reading the content of this book, Orochimaru's mind was also opened. Orochimaru has a high IQ. After analysis, Orochimaru found that this organization may be aiming at the whole world. It is not a relationship between ninjas, but an attempt to plot the entire ninja world. This is extremely crazy, and the scope involved is even greater than the ninja world in the past. As crazy as the Akatsuki organization. During the time Orochimaru was in the Akatsuki organization, he barely knew the purpose of the Akatsuki organization, that is, the tailed beast. Compared with Nagato's painful thoughts, Orochimaru felt that the umbrella organization was much more normal. Looking at the book in his hand, Orochimaru was a little emotional. This might be the true will of fire. Third generation old man, maybe you will have a terrible opponent. Akatsuki and umbrella, one conquers the world from the perspective of combat power, and the other transforms the world from the perspective of ideology. Orochimaru feels that this world is becoming more and more interesting. Putting down the book in his hand, Orochimaru turned and walked into a room and continued his experiment. Chapter 110. In Konoha village, the addition of Yakumo Kurama is a powerful helper for Naruto in the future. Naruto simply introduced his purpose to Yakumo Kurama, and implicitly mentioned his identity as the son of the fourth Hokage. Although he was very shocked, Yakumo Kurama was still willing to help Naruto because Naruto brought her a new life. In fact, Naruto just asked her to join the organization, and even said that he would leave Konoha in the future. As for revenge on Konoha in the future, he and Sasuke can do it. Konoha is already decayed, How can it be reborn without fire? Yakumo Kurama does not have much affection for Konoha, otherwise he would not use the power of blood limit to attack the Hokage building in the original work. The matter of Yakumo Kurama is temporarily over. Regarding the future path, Naruto suggested that Yakumo Kurama practice martial arts, because martial arts can strengthen her body. On the contrary, taking the chakra path may make her body return to its previous appearance. Although it is much better than before, there are still considerable hidden dangers. Afterwards, Naruto gave the martial arts training method to me, Yakumo Kurama, and asked her to practice it carefully. As for Yakumo Kurama's physical problems, they are now exposed only as a self-healing situation during growth. As for whether she will be suspected, if anyone dares to stretch out his claws, just chop it off. It is only a few months away from their graduation, and Naruto doesn't want to stay in this place anymore. Every time he sees the deep malice in the eyes of the villagers, Naruto has a murderous intent surging. If he hadn't been a reserve ninja, he estimated that those villagers would probably bully him like they did when he was a child. If it were Naruto in the original work, he would probably have to suffer their contempt and bullying for a long time, until graduation. On this day, Naruto sent Yakumo Kurama back home. Yakumo Kurama's parents have died, and Yakumo Kurama usually lives alone. Sometimes Kurenai Yuhi will come to take care of Yakumo Kurama. Yakumo, go back quickly. Naruto stood at the door and smiled. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Without you, I wouldn't have a new life. Kurama said with emotion, and a rare smile appeared on his face. Ever since Ito was conquered by virtue, her heart knot was completely opened by Naruto, and she had learned the truth about her parents' death from Naruto, but Naruto told her a good news that her parents might be resurrected in the future. This also made her completely recognize Naruto. Just as Naruto was about to leave, a woman with black curly hair came up, with a pair of deep red eyes, and a hint of doubt on her beautiful face. The white bandage skirt exposed her figure. Teacher Hong, why are you here? A hint of surprise and joy appeared on Kurama Yakumo's face. Naruto also turned to look at this woman. Unlike Hinata and others, the woman in front of him had a plump figure and a pair of red pupils that exuded a strange charm. If Naruto were to describe her, it would be an outstanding grace. Not to say that she is stunningly beautiful, but also rare in the world. No wonder Asuma likes her so much. What a pity. A flower stuck in cow dung. Yuhi Kurenai walked forward, with a flash of doubt in her eyes, as if she was wondering why Uzumaki Naruto knew Kurama Yakumo. Hello, I'm Yakumo's new friend, and Yakumo draws very well. Naruto said to Yuhi Kurenai with a smile, and a sense of affinity emanated from him, which instantly calmed Yuhi Kurenai's slightly vigilant heart. Kurama Yakumo suddenly heard a voice in his mind and was slightly startled. After Naruto's explanation, Kurama Yakumo also understood. Then he cooperated with Naruto and said, Teacher Hong, this is my new friend. Yuhi Kurenai was a little surprised to hear Kurama Yakumo say this. Yakumo had no friends due to his physical condition, but he didn't expect to make friends now. This made her have a little good impression on Naruto, but Naruto's identity was special. Yuhi Kurenai was very sensitive to the fact that Kurama Yakumo seemed to be in a good mood today, maybe because he made friends. Naruto, this is my teacher Kurenai Yuhi. Teacher, this is my new friend Uzumaki Naruto. Yakuma Yakumo also introduced Kurenai Yuhi to Naruto, but she didn't know that Naruto knew Kurenai better than she did. Yakumo didn't like Konoha or even Kurenai Yuhi before. She even thought that Kurenai Yuhi and the third Hokage wanted to kill her. Knowing some of the reasons, she let go of her prejudices at this moment. After all, she has ushered in a new life. Hello, Sister Hong. Naruto nodded and called out obediently, which made Yuhi Hong feel a little happy. After all, which woman doesn't like others to call her sister? Well, hello, Naruto, Yakumo has never had any friends. I am really happy that you two can become friends. Yakumo, who used to be calm and even a little indifferent, now showed this look. Yuhi Kurenai did not realize the real reason and thought that Yakumo was happy to make friends. In the past, Yakumo was very resistant to making friends, and few people were willing to make friends with Yakumo, which was a good thing for Yuhi Kurenai. I am also very happy to be Yakumo's friend. Yakumo, Sister Hong, please come visit me again next time. Naruto said slowly, and that gentle smile made Kurenai feel a little dazed. Kurenai lifted the hair beside her ear, looking very charming. She watched Naruto go away, and after Naruto's figure disappeared from her sight, she turned to look at Kurama Yakumo. Yakumo, have you figured it out? Well, I've figured it out. I don't want to be a ninja anymore. Yakumo Kurama said lightly, but in her heart she was thinking, I don't want to be a ninja, but Naruto-kun said I can be a warrior. For a long time, Yakumo Kurama wanted to be a ninja because she didn't want to be a waste, but now, not only has she returned to normal, she can even help Naruto. She hopes to be a useful person to Naruto. It doesn't matter whether she becomes a ninja or a warrior. Although Naruto didn't reveal a lot of things, she, who has a strong mental strength, is still very sensitive to emotions. She feels that Naruto doesn't seem to like Konoha very much. And some villagers in Konoha seem to be full of malice towards Naruto. Yakumo Kurama has changed a lot. Listening to Yakumo Kurama, Kurenai Yuhi smiled happily at the answer. It's good that she can figure it out. After all, the profession of ninja is not so easy. Yakumo's physical fitness destined her to not be a ninja. Can she let her comrades carry her on the battlefield? Sometimes ninjas also represent cruelty. It's a pity for Yakumo's bloodline limit. Kurenai Yuhi felt a little complicated. She used to be jealous of this girl. Why did the girl in front of her have the ability that she had practiced so hard? Whether it is the control of the five senses or the illusion space, it is something she can never achieve in her life. However, after knowing the girl's situation, the jealousy she once had disappeared without a trace, and some sympathy and love rose. Chapter 111. Chirp. It was like the sound of thousands of birds chirping, and the chirping sound made people feel extremely irritated. With a sharp scream, Uchiha Sasuke rushed out directly, condensing physical chakra in his hands, rushing forward with powerful might. In a moment of distraction, the whole person rushed out a long distance. Sasuke has already lit up the 3 Magatama Sharingan at this moment. And he used the Chidori that Kakashi used. The person opposite Sasuke was Kakashi. Facing the current Sasuke, even Kakashi did not dare to be careless. Even if Sasuke was just hiding his strength, in fact, Kakashi also noticed that Sasuke should have a trump card that he had not used. In fact, he did too. The Chidori also lit up in Kakashi's hand, and the physical chakra made the Chidori feel more agile and condensed in Kakashi's hands. And Sasuke felt wanton and arrogant, young and arrogant. Teacher Kakashi, don't be careless. Sasuke's figure suddenly turned into a residual shadow, and the stimulation of lightning chakra made his cells particularly active. Kakashi's eyes also showed a serious look. Sasuke's physical fitness is now stronger than when he was 12 years old. But Sasuke, you are still too young. Kakashi suddenly burst out with a fierce killing intent, which was the result of his years of training on the battlefield. Kakashi raised Chidori and rushed out as well. The two collided with each other, and their attacks collided with each other. Bang! The two staggered past each other, with their backs to each other. The ground where they just collided has now turned into a pit. Suddenly Sasuke knelt on one knee on the ground, and Kakashi slowly turned around. Sasuke, how is it? Kakashi looked at Sasuke, but Sasuke did not answer but slowly closed his eyes and thought about the attack just now. Kakashi used murderous intent to lock him, causing him to stagnate for a moment. When he was shrouded in murderous intent, Sasuke felt that he might die, and he felt helpless. Although his strength was barely strong, he still showed some weakness when facing Kakashi, a ninja who was trained on the battlefield. Having experienced battles of blood and fire, Kakashi himself is a super genius, and subtle changes can allow him to seize opportunities. The combat experience between the two is also very different. The two only use the same power, and Kakashi is obviously stronger than Sasuke. However, the outcome of continuing to fight is unknown. As long as Sasuke holds on and is not defeated by Kakashi, then Kakashi, who lacks blue, is naturally not Sasuke's opponent. But it is highly likely that Kakashi will not let the battle drag on, so the competition will be about the trump cards of the two. Sasuke stood up. Although Kakashi used murderous intent to interfere with him, which was not a martial ethics, but no one has ever talked to you about martial ethics on the battlefield. Kakashi's use and concentration of Chidori's chakra were also higher than his. Sasuke naturally knew that it would take some time to defeat Kakashi. Pa pa pa. The sound of applause rang out, and Naruto's figure appeared beside the two. Sasuke nodded to Naruto, and Kakashi narrowed his eyes and moved his forehead protector down to cover his Sharingan. Then he looked at Naruto. Naruto was able to be by his side before he noticed it, and he was afraid that his strength had surpassed his own. The teacher's child is really not simple. People can't see through. To him, Naruto is full of mystery. Sasuke, your strength has improved again. Naruto laughed. Sasuke rolled his eyes at Naruto and knocked away Naruto's hand on his shoulder. Senior Kakashi has made a lot of progress recently. Ignoring Sasuke, Naruto looked at Kakashi. Since he started practicing martial arts, Naruto has a very clear understanding of a person's blood and chi. Kakashi used to have a little blood and chi floating around. In general, he has seen too much intimate heaven, but now his chi is restrained. His blood and chi are condensed, and his edge is hidden. Although he has never practiced martial arts and cannot mobilize the power in his body, his physical fitness is much stronger than a few months ago. It should be because of the indestructible golden body. Kakashi has gradually begun to approach a hexagonal warrior. Ninja body illusion is not bad, but the endurance time is not long. Naruto feels a little pity. For Kakashi, the three Magatama are not worthy of his talent at all. On the contrary, it has dragged down Kakashi's pace of entering the shadow level. However, Naruto also knows that Kakashi's ability to use the Mangekyo in the later period is also a powerful means. Well, it's okay, but I'm afraid this doesn't mean anything to you, right? I'm afraid your current strength is unfathomable. Kakashi said meaningfully. Naruto raised his lips, smiled, and said nothing, which was considered as tacit agreement. Sasuke, how have you been reading recently? Naruto suddenly asked. Sasuke frowned and said seriously, I have mastered the basic theory, and I can even achieve the conversion between electricity and magnetism. It's just that in the process of forming the super electromagnetic gun, the power is easily lost very quickly. Sasuke has the Sharingan. Although there are many books, Sasuke can quickly memorize them by copying them with the Sharingan. What's left is understanding. This makes Naruto a little envious, although his powerful mental power can almost achieve this level. This can't help but make Naruto feel a little emotional. The Byakugan is suitable for being a doctor, and the Sharingan is suitable for scientific research. Perhaps this is the correct way to open these two bloodline limits. In the original work, Sasuke learned a lot of knowledge from Orochimaru after his defection, so he also developed a move that is almost a natural disaster. Lightning Release Kirin. This also shows that Sasuke's thinking is good. Maybe Sasuke can get a Gundam set of Susanoo in the future. Recently, the organization is studying the upgrade of chakra armor. Maybe a layer of chakra armor can be put on Susanoo. That look is unimaginable. Thinking of this, Naruto suddenly had an idea in his mind. He patted Sasuke on the shoulder and said, Sasuke, you should read those science and technology books carefully, and you can also read other types. There will be important tasks for you in the future. Sasuke rarely saw Naruto like this, so he nodded, not knowing that Naruto already had the idea of getting Sasuke into a scientific research department to be in charge of research and development. Well, I'll take a good look at it. Sasuke nodded seriously. By the way, why didn't Xiao Li and the others come today? At this time, a faint voice came. They were taken away by Akai to carry out a mission. I'm afraid it will take half a month. Do you want to carry out the mission? Naruto was not worried at all. The two of them had seen blood before. With their strength, there was no need to worry about them getting into trouble. With Might Guy, they could escape unscathed even if they encountered a cage-level warrior. Chapter 112. After the exchange, Naruto and his friends began to practice, and they did not avoid Kakashi. After all, Kakashi is now half of their own. However, the two still retained a considerable part. In Konoha, be careful about everything. Naruto will not underestimate anyone, especially in Konoha. Although his strength is already strong enough, what if a guy who knows some secret technique pops out and wants to die with him? If a Shikifujin comes, Naruto will cry to death. In the original work, the reason why the third generation used Shikifujin to take Orochimaru away was because there was a barrier blocking him, and he was doomed to die. There was no way back, so his former spirit as a ninja hero naturally showed up again. Since he was going to die, he had to die for a good cause. This may also be what Orochimaru wanted to achieve, but the result was not what he imagined, and he ended up losing his own hands. The three of them started their own practice, and Kakashi was actually developing the Chidori Flowing Thunder release ninjutsu. Sasuke started to read books, and his Scarlet Sharingan opened, and he memorized everything in his mind, as if he had never forgotten it. However, memorizing it in his mind does not mean that he understands it. What Sasuke needs to do is to master the knowledge thoroughly. The reason why Kakashi developed Chidori style was thanks to Naruto's implicit reminder. He originally wanted to guide Sasuke to develop his own moves in advance, which would also save time. Unexpectedly, it aroused Kakashi's interest. Originally, Kakashi and Sasuke were jointly developing Chidori-style ninjutsu, but Sasuke suddenly became fascinated by the super railgun. After seeing Naruto perform it once, the cool feeling instantly fascinated Sasuke. He said that he wanted to learn powerful ninjutsu, but Naruto had sufficient reasons to prove that the second pillar was just pretending to be cool. So Sasuke is now behind Kakashi in the development of Chidori style, but he doesn't care. As long as the super railgun is developed, won't it beat Chidori? Since his knowledge of the railgun is not yet in place, Sasuke can only use coins to perform AD-level ninjutsu. It is not necessary to use coins, as long as it is made of metal, but after seeing Naruto perform it, Sasuke would put a lot of coins in his pocket every day. As for Naruto, he has begun to practice the sealing technique. The deeper the sealing technique, the more difficult it is. He has never completed the promise to help Nechi remove the seal of the caged bird. The ability of God rewards hard work is indeed very powerful, but it is only auxiliary, not omnipotent. It depends on his own efforts to make this golden finger shine. However, Naruto can feel that he will soon master the caged bird curse seal completely. The caged bird is worthy of being the crystallization of several generations of the main family, and even some aspects include the knowledge of the soul. And Naruto's gains are not small, and he even understands some cognition about the soul. Naruto was immersed in the ocean of sealing knowledge, and simply ignored the voice in his mind. Open black lens bracket caged bird curse understanding +5, sealing technique mastery +3, soul cognition +0.5, close black lens bracket. Ignoring the voice in his head, Naruto has entered a state of extreme concentration. Ellipsis. Naruto is still working hard on his training. Meanwhile, on the Umbrella Organization's side, there is no one on a plane. Shisui, wearing a tight combat uniform, is holding a knife, and opposite him is Uchiha Izumi. Shisui's three Magatama eyes reveal a deep and powerful look. On the opposite side, Izumi is also in the state of three Magatama, holding a white short blade in his hand. The next moment, Shisui rushed forward in an instant, transforming into dozens of figures and slashing at Izumi. There was no panic in Izumi's scarlet eyes. The short blade passed through a few phantoms, and the next moment, the phantom that she had attacked before turned into an entity again. In Izumi's surprised eyes, Izumi held the short blade across his chest, and a tingling feeling surged into Izumi's heart, and a sharp light came from behind. Shisui actually changed his position quietly. Shisui placed his knife on Izumi's fair neck and said calmly, "Izumi, you lost again." As if he was used to it, Izumi smiled softly and said, "Brother Shisui, your instant body technique has improved again." Shisui put the knife into the scabbard behind him and said, "Your strength has improved a lot now. The only thing you lack is combat experience," Shisui said with some emotion. Although Izumi's combat experience is not yet mature, her Mangekyo ability can also save her from many troubles caused by lack of experience. It can also make her have the strength to fight when facing powerful enemies. Now, Shisui has one Mangekyo Sharingan with Danzo and one in Itachi's hands. His current 3 Magatama Sharingan was found by Naruto from Danzo's base before. And the Sharingan that does not belong to him cannot evolve into the Mangekyo Sharingan. Over the years, Shisui has also tried to see if he can evolve this pair of 3 Magatama Sharingan into the Mangekyo, but it didn't work. However, because there is still some power left in the Mangekyo pupil, his 3 Magatama Sharingan is much more powerful than the ordinary Sharingan. "No, my strength is far inferior to that of brother Shisui." Quan shook her head. She was telling the truth. Even if she opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, she was not sure of defeating Shisui. Although Shisui only had 3 Magatama, he had the ninjutsu provided by Naruto in the past 2 years, and the money earned by the Chamber of Commerce to assist in his practice. Even when he was very busy, Shisui would split a shadow clone to practice. As an avid supporter of Naruto, Shisui practiced the martial arts practice method created by Naruto as soon as possible. It was already difficult for Shisui to progress to a deeper level, and the progress of his strength gradually became slow. This may be a common problem for every shadow-level strongman. Without a higher-level practice method, it is difficult to improve one's strength to another level. Shisui's current martial arts practice realm is almost completing bone training. After completing the practice of bone training, Shisui's tolerance will be greatly increased. At that time, Shisui's instant body may make the enemy even more terrified. If later, Shisui completes the practice of the martial arts stage, combined with the chakra system, it will be like practicing martial arts together. The combat power will be comparable to the level of the first Super Shadow. Don't be so modest, I know your strength. By the way, are Sawakawa and Katona doing well recently? The 2 people that Shisui was talking about were members of the remaining dozen or so Uchiha children. After a few years, these children of the Uchiha family have become teenagers. The youngest is 10 years old, and the oldest is 16 years old. Shisui is still quite concerned about these people. After all, they represent the continuation of the Uchiha. Even when they are on a mission, they will not be assigned tasks with a high degree of uncertainty, but it can be regarded as letting them experience the test of blood and fire. And because he has to be in charge of all matters of the umbrella, he handed over the remaining members of these Uchiha to Yu and Quan for management. Compared with Yu, Quan has more contact with the remaining Uchiha. Because Yu is Shisui's right-hand man, he is responsible for a lot of things. However, many rights have been delegated by Shisui. Naruto said that a good person in power must learn to delegate power. As a result, Shisui looked resentful. Naruto smiled awkwardly most of the time. After all, he put almost all the power in Shisui's hands. Chapter 113. Quan looked at Shisui, and there was a hint of warmth on his cold face. They all have good talents. Sawakawa and Katona are almost at the level of elite Jonin. As for the others, they are basically Jonin, and the youngest Chiba is also at the level of elite Chunin. Izumi said slowly, with a satisfied look on his face. None of these Uchiha family members have poor talents, otherwise they would not be trained together. I wanted to train them to be the elite of the family and become a member of a small group in the future, but Uchiha Itachi and Konoha directly wiped out the Uchiha family. Fortunately, Naruto saved them and gave them a new mission. The Uchiha family was able to continue. Very good, I didn't expect that the Uchiha could continue in this way. Shisui said with emotion, and his thoughts returned to the past. After he saw the conflict between the Uchiha and the village, he had been looking for peace between the village and the family. Originally thought that the family was not happy, and the conflict had reached a very deep level. After all, the family had a very bad reputation in the village. But Danzo's target was the Uchiha family. Although the people in the family were irritable, they also had reasons and evidence when enforcing the law. There were even reports of Uchiha's violent law enforcement in the village. Later, Shisui also understood that this was because Danzo guided public opinion. Therefore, his understanding of politics was too one-sided, and he was led by the third Hokage and Danzo. In fact, the conflict between the Uchiha clan and the village was planted by the second Hokage during the second Hokage period. After all, the second Hokage did not like the Uchiha clan. The third Hokage and Danzo inherited the will of the second Hokage, but not his wisdom and talents. Instead, they learned politics in a weird way, and made the powerful Konoha lack successors. And the so-called Konoha high-level officials, after Sarutobi Hiruzen came to power, there were only 4 of them. And the 4 of them are all disciples of the second Hokage. Currently in Konoha, because of the 4 of them, the family has great power in Konoha, occupying various hot industries. The captain of the Anbu is currently also a member of the Sarutobi family. The Sarutobi family is responsible for the funds in the village, and the Shimura family is responsible for logistics. Now the largest casino in Konoha is the Mitoman family, and even the Udatane family is responsible for the important task. Other aspects are in the hands of the big families in Konoha. And several big families have transitioned from the Warring States period, and they have their own industries in the Land of Fire. They are also considered one of the nobles, and the etiquette of the Hyuga family is even comparable to that of the daimyo. And you can know from the origin of the Hyuga family. The identity of the Hyuga family. Descendants of the younger brother of the Six Paths Sage. In this world, they are naturally the nobles among the nobles. And the Hyuga family, even the daimyo will not ignore it. Because there is also a legend that the Hyuga has been passed down for a long time and is the descendant of the legendary goddess of the rabbit. In this society, like a feudal etiquette system, even Orochimaru, who is a heretic, has to ask the daimyo for permission to establish the Sound Village, although it may also be for research funds. But it can also be seen that the influence of noble blood in this world. Let's go back. Shisui shook his head, and threw away the distracting thoughts in his mind. The world jumped and disappeared here. Quan followed closely behind. Soon there was no trace of the 2 people, leaving only a desolate scene on the ground. Ellipsis. In the land of rice fields, in the Sound Village. Orochimaru was conducting an experiment in a white coat. A figure appeared at the door and waited quietly. He did not disturb Orochimaru because the most taboo in the experiment was interruption. After an unknown amount of time, Orochimaru slowly stopped, took off his white gloves, and casually placed them on the table next to him. Kabuto, you're here, what's the matter? Orochimaru looked at Kabuto, which made people feel a chill. Kabuto quickly lowered his head and said, Lord Orochimaru, you asked us to contact the Umbrella Organization and we have made some contact. The other party is willing to cooperate with us, but we still need to notify our superiors. Well, they are really putting on a big show, but they have the capital. Orochimaru was a little unhappy, but for the sake of truth, he could still wait. He couldn't wait to meet the leader of the Umbrella Organization. Shisui, through his subordinates' reports, has learned some of Orochimaru's thoughts. Cooperation. Lord Orochimaru, this is really unexpected. However, Naruto said that Orochimaru is a talent. I didn't expect that he has noticed us now. Shisui put a document on the table. Shisui sat in the main seat. In the conference room, Zabuza, Yu and even Izumi were here, and there were also 2 Uchiha members. Shisui planned to cultivate their political abilities. There were also a few unfamiliar faces, but they were all the backbone of the umbrella organization. Zabuza took the document and frowned. Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas. This is a dangerous person. Zabuza had naturally heard of Orochimaru. He was an extremely dangerous person. He participated in the war and even served as the commander of the Konoha side in the Third Ninja World War. Not to mention Yu and Izumi. The two were originally from Konoha and knew the reputation of Orochimaru. Although Orochimaru had defected from Konoha, everyone still recognized his past achievements. Humph. Konoha is really rotten. The three ninjas are leaving one by one. Yu said disdainfully. Ever since the demise of their Uchiha clan, Yu has developed a deep disgust for this village that he once loved. Just tell Naruto about this. Since Naruto is very optimistic about Orochimaru, let Naruto make the decision. Shisui made the decision. Everyone nodded. Then Shisui and others began to discuss other things, such as the operation of the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce, the spread of the umbrella ideology, and the development of organization members. Although the incident of Orochimaru caused a little ripple, it was still not as good as the development of the organization in the eyes of everyone. Afterwards, Naruto also received news from Shisui, which surprised Naruto. He originally wanted to get in touch with Orochimaru after graduation, but he didn't expect Orochimaru to take the initiative to deliver himself to the door. But Naruto doesn't think that Orochimaru is attracted by his red ideology. Orochimaru is an egoist. I'm afraid that only science can attract Orochimaru. An idea popped up in Naruto's mind, and he wrote a reply immediately. Ellipsis. Orochimaru received a response from Umbrella. Looking at the letter in front of him, Orochimaru was a little angry. Is this the response from the Umbrella organization? Did they look down on me so much? The murderous intent emerged instantly. Orochimaru himself showed up to greet him, which shows how much he values the Umbrella organization. However, the result seemed to make him a little dissatisfied. Perhaps seeing Orochimaru's dissatisfaction, the messenger suppressed his fear and said, Lord Orochimaru, the leader said that there is something in it that you are interested in. As soon as he said this, Orochimaru looked at the ninja who was delivering the letter with his cold eyes and said, Go. The man was relieved and left as fast as he could. Orochimaru opened the letter. Open black lens bracket Mr. Orochimaru, if you understand the following three things, then you will witness the beginning of the truth, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket 1. Why does water flow to lower places, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket 2. Why do fruits fall facing downwards, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket 3. Why does a ship sailing in the ocean see the sails first, close black lens bracket. Naruto told Orochimaru that these contents obviously have deep meanings. This is the famous universal gravitation in the previous life. But there is no one named Newton in this world to summarize the universal gravitation theorem. The science in this world is deformed. Naruto hopes that someone can perfect him. Of course, it is impossible for him to do it alone. More like-minded people need to participate. Chapter 114. Kabuto, what's wrong with Lord Orochimaru recently? A gray-haired boy looked at Kabuto and asked. The one who spoke was Kagaya Kimimaro. Recently, Orochimaru's reaction was very abnormal, and he even stopped doing the experiments that he was very enthusiastic about in the past. It should be related to the umbrella organization, right? Kabuto said a little uncertainly. He seldom saw Orochimaru showing such a serious look. At this moment, Orochimaru was constantly thinking about the three questions given by Naruto. With Orochimaru's wisdom, he quickly thought of the reason for the first question. Orochimaru even understood the last two questions a little. But what Orochimaru cares about is, what kind of force caused such a result? Gravity exists everywhere between heaven and earth, so water is affected by gravity, so water will flow to lower places, and the same is true for fruits falling on the ground, which are also affected by gravity. As for the third question, Orochimaru can't figure it out for the time being. So Orochimaru is still thinking about the previous questions, and has never thought about this problem too much. Now Orochimaru is constantly thinking about the essence of this problem in his mind. What can make the leader of Umbrella called it that understanding these three questions would lead to seeing the door to the truth, and Orochimaru was naturally very interested, even though these three questions seemed simple. Orochimaru walked out of the underground where he had been staying all day, and began to walk towards the woods. Deep in the woods there was a stream flowing slowly, and Orochimaru's usually cold eyes were now full of confusion. Orochimaru scooped up a handful of water with his hands, and the water flowed down through the gaps between his fingertips, slowly falling on the ground. Orochimaru looked closely and saw that the water was also flowing downwards, as were all things. Gravity is everywhere, so how exactly is gravity produced? Is there something underground that produces gravity? Orochimaru suddenly became excited, and a desire to explore came over him. He immediately turned around and left, even ignoring Kabuto and Kimimaro who were following behind him. In Konoha village, Naruto couldn't help but reveal a playful smile when he learned that his letter had been delivered to Orochimaru. The questions he asked seemed simple, but they were exactly what the current ninja world lacked. Now the technology of the ninja world originated from some ordinary people, and the convenience of technology has gradually made some people recognize the existence of technology. However, because of the existence of ninjas, coupled with feudal ideas and the dominance of nobles, many people actually live a closed life. As a result, technology has not been completely spread, and some nobles even think that this is a destruction of the noble etiquette. Therefore, there are still carriages in some places, and the emerging affairs are difficult for those nobles to accept. In fact, the nobles secretly oppose these because they were worried about their own rule, but technology is indeed very convenient, so it has gradually developed. However, the use of technology is prohibited in some places, such as some nobles in the Land of Fire. Although this world has developed to the age of electrical appliances, it is extremely deformed, which makes Naruto, who came from the technological world before, feel extremely awkward. And Naruto feels that the development of technology can bring great help to the development of chakra or martial arts. Naruto feels that he may not be limited to this small planet in the future. The Otsutsuki clan has begun to colonize the entire universe and plant trees. Those people in the original work may be just an insignificant member of the Otsutsuki family. Because you can't imagine how terrible it is for an Otsutsuki who has lived for so long and feeds on the origin of a planet. Be prepared for danger in times of peace. Naruto has already thought about the future. The Ninja World War a few years later is just an internal fight among a group of people who pursue peace. The real threat and enemy is the Otsutsuki clan. After the Otsutsuki clan cannot get feedback from the Ninja World, they will definitely send new Otsutsuki clan members. Not to mention that there is still an Otsutsuki clan member in the ninja world who is forbearing to restore his strength. The chakra cultivation method in the ninja world is actually something of the Otsutsuki clan, which was spread by the Six Paths Sage. Naruto even doubts whether the Six Paths Sage has not released the complete chakra cultivation method. After all, the Super Shadow level is too vacant. In this way, it is difficult for a person who threatens him to appear. Of course, this is just Naruto's guess. Naruto has started his usual training. As for Orochimaru, Naruto thinks that gravity is enough for Orochimaru to ponder for a while. But what Naruto didn't expect was that Orochimaru was so determined and kept fighting on it. At this moment in the Land of Rice, Orochimaru looked at Kabuto and Kimimaro in front of him and said, "Kabuto, I'll leave the Sound Village to you for a while. I want to find the truth. I have a hunch that this is a huge discovery." Orochimaru wants to travel all over the ninja world to think about the questions given by Naruto. "Lord Orochimaru, are you really going? Maybe we are being played by someone." During this time, Kabuto finally knew what Orochimaru was studying. Why does water flow to lower places? Why do fruits fall? And why do we see the sails first when a distant ship returns? These are strange questions. Isn't this a problem of gravity? Although Kabuto is talented, He does not have the spirit of research and thinking like Orochimaru. Orochimaru pursues the essential phenomena and causes. Kabuto, you are not mature enough now and cannot see the essence of the world. You must know that sometimes the simplest affairs often contain the truth of the world. Orochimaru said with a smile, which looked a little scary, but exuded a special charm. Orochimaru finally left and began to look for what he believed to be the truth. The first thing Orochimaru witnessed was the falling of fruits. Orochimaru kept shuttling between jungles, and his footprints were all over the countries. He even left the legend of snake spirits among ordinary civilians. According to legend, snake spirits will stop between the woods and eat disobedient children. Orochimaru sometimes even uses earth escape to dive underground to find out if there are any items that can cause gravity. But nothing was found. Afterwards, Orochimaru came to the sea, and the water of almost all rivers would converge in the sea. Finally, Orochimaru witnessed the passage of ships over and over again, and even sailed on a ship. A little bit of sporadic insights gathered in Orochimaru's heart, and gradually gathered became rivers, lakes and seas. I'm afraid Naruto could not have imagined that Orochimaru would spend several months doing these things. Naruto's main thought was to let Orochimaru understand the existence of gravity a little bit, but who knew that Orochimaru would go to extremes and ask questions to the end. During this period, Naruto was also very surprised that Orochimaru had not contacted the Umbrella Organization until now. Did he think that his question was a humiliation to him, or was he not interested in it? In any case, although Naruto was a little regretful, he would always be able to see Orochimaru when the Konoha collapse plan came. Now there is only 1 month left before graduation, and Naruto has almost finished studying the curse seal of the caged bird. Half a month ago, the restrictions of the caged bird had been completely lifted for Nechi. Now, Nechi's Byakugan no longer has that once fatal weakness. Chapter 115. Naruto, is it time? Naruto, Sasuke, Neji, Lee, and Yakumo Kurama appeared in the familiar place, their former secret base. Well, it's almost time. Wait another half a year, then it will be the most suitable time. There will be a great show, you can see it for yourself. Sasuke was silent for a moment, then nodded. Naruto, if nothing goes wrong, you should graduate tomorrow. Neji said excitedly. As a teenager, he naturally wanted to venture into the ninja world. Ninki, in the next 6 months, try your best to win over the people from the Hyuga branch family. Naruto said seriously. Well, no problem. Now half of the people in the branch family obey me. They have long hated the main family. They are happy to leave with us. Neji said slowly, with pride on his face. Indeed, it is not easy to win over so many people from the branch family. In addition to the fact that Neji has a way to help the people of the branch family to release the control of the caged bird, Neji's talent is strong enough. After so many years of training, Neji's strength has become extremely powerful, which also makes the branch family see the hope that Neji will protect them. With Neji's strength, in a few years, he will definitely stand at a very high height. At the same time, the 2 members of the Hyuga family who went to the Umbrella Organization before also boasted about the strength of the Umbrella Organization. Although the 2 people's narration is a bit exaggerated, what about punching the Wind Country and kicking the Thunder Country? But it can be imagined that this is not a weak organization, especially knowing the 7 Colors merchant after finding out that the 7-colored Chamber of Commerce was actually the property of the Umbrella Organization. The people of the Hyuga branch were completely convinced. Because there have always been rumors in the ninja world that the Hidden Mist Village and the Land of Water are supporting it from behind. If the 7-colored Chamber of Commerce was the property of the Umbrella Organization, if it didn't have some strength, it would have been swallowed up by the Hidden Mist Village long ago. So they don't worry about the problem of survival in the future, they are willing to fight for freedom. The flames burned slowly in the center of the crowd, and a simple barbecue grill was placed on it. The fragrance made several people sniff their noses involuntarily. Sasuke couldn't help swallowing his saliva and took the barbecue handed over by Naruto. The others also took it one by one, recalling the life when they were on a mission with Might Guy. It's better not to mention it. It's the same barbecue, but the taste is so different. You guys, you really can do everything well. Ningji took a bite of the barbecue in his hand. The meat was delicious, and with some seasonings, it was just right. The delicious taste made people want to swallow their tongue. Well, Naruto-kun is indeed very powerful. Kurama Yakumo echoed, with a look of satisfaction on his face. How can it be so exaggerated? It's just that hard work pays off. Naruto said with a smile on his face. Several people rolled their eyes at Naruto. God rewards hard work means hard work, but who among those present didn't work hard? Pervert. Eat, ignore him. Nechi and Sasuke rarely form a united front. Everyone sat down and enjoyed the food quietly. After enjoying it, Naruto said seriously, Ninki, there must be no problems on your side. No problem. Eating is eating, making noise is making noise, but when it comes to being serious, Neji is still very serious. He knows what to say, and the bird that has broken free from the cage has begun to show its edge as a bird. Ellipsis. Hokage office. Third Hokage, are you saying that you want me to fill in for you? Kakashi looked at the information of the 3 students in front of him. At a glance, they were all old acquaintances, Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, and a stranger named Haruno Sakura. Kakashi, you are already a mature ninja. You should know the importance of these 2 people. Guide them in the right direction. And haven't you already accepted Uchiha Sasuke as your apprentice? The 3rd generation looked at Kakashi, and his deep eyes revealed the cunning of a fox. It was no longer a secret that Kakashi accepted Sasuke as his disciple, and the 3 of them deliberately used the bond to connect them. Kakashi also taught a class a few years ago, but no one could pass his assessment, and it ended up in vain. I didn't expect the 3rd generation to let him teach again. 3rd generation Hokage, 3rd generation Hokage, did they really need me to teach them now? Kakashi said with a little self-mockery in his heart. In the past few years, Kakashi has been practicing desperately in addition to investigating the truth of his father's death. His father's death was not normal, and it was definitely related to Danzo. But so many years of life in Konoha made Kakashi a little confused. Was his father's death Konoha's fault, or Danzo and the 3rd generation's fault? The rumors of those villagers forced his father to death, and Danzo was the mastermind behind the rumors. The 3rd generation did not come out to stop Danzo's behavior, but let the public opinion ferment. Okay, Lord Sandame. Kakashi took the documents and walked out, leaving the Sandame alone in the Hokage building. The Sandame looked at Kakashi's back and murmured, I hope they can form a good bond. Ellipsis. The next day. Naruto and Sasuke rushed to the classroom. They had passed the test yesterday, which was the clone jutsu, but Naruto passed the test easily. This morning, they also heard a rumor that a classmate seemed to have colluded with the teacher Mizuki to steal the Book of Sealing, and they were both imprisoned in Konoha prison. This made Naruto feel a little disdainful when he heard the news. Although the Book of Sealing incident happened, although he was not the protagonist, Naruto did not think highly of the contents of the Book of Sealing, and that Book of Sealing was probably just a rubbing version, with at most 1 or 2 ninjutsu. And not everyone has his identity, the orphan of the 4th Hokage, the 9 Tails Jinchuriki. It is impossible for Konoha to let a Jinchuriki can't graduate, isn't this a joke? The 9 Tails Jinchuriki, the orphan of the 4th Hokage, can't graduate. Stealing the Book of Sealing is a serious crime. The boy was just a civilian, and the incident was soon forgotten. When Naruto and Sasuke arrived in the classroom, Naruto came to Hinata as usual. This time, Sasuke did not sit by the window, but sat next to Naruto. Sasuke's arrival caused another uproar. Naruto, do you think we will be assigned to the same class? Sasuke asked Naruto in a low voice. The class division this time is not that simple, there is a high probability that we will be divided into the same class. The descendants of Ino, Shika and Cho must be together, while Inuzuka Kiba, Hinata, and Shino should form a reconnaissance team. There are 2 of us in one group, and maybe one more person to balance things out between us. The rest of the people have neither background nor special abilities and talents, so they are probably assigned to the same class, and their instructors may just be the weaker of the Jonin. After all, they are from Class A. Although the others are not as good as Naruto and others, they will most likely be the backbone of Konoha in the future. So the instructor is likely to be a Jonin. As for the other classes, the instructors are most likely to be Chunin. Sure enough, the name that Iruka read out next was exactly the same as Naruto's analysis. The last group whose name was called out was their Class 7. Yeah, Sasuke and I are grouped together. Sakura screamed in her heart, full of excitement. Chapter 116. Soon, everyone left, leaving only a few people from Team 7. Naruto and Sasuke sat quietly in the classroom. Sasuke was still digesting the content in his mind. Naruto did not waste time, slowly sorting out what he had learned in his mind. Open black lens bracket Genjutsu +5, Ninjutsu +3, Chakra Control +2, close black lens bracket. A series of voices rang out, and Naruto was already used to it. Only Sakura was still looking around, and occasionally glanced at Sasuke, and seeing that the two seemed to ignore her, she couldn't help but feel a little bored, and even the joy of being assigned to the same class with Sasuke faded a little. She complained in her heart that their instructor did not abide by the concept of time. After complaining, she looked at Sasuke like a fangirl. Naruto and Sasuke were called Gemini stars in the class, but Sakura still liked Sasuke, maybe because Sasuke was more handsome. And he had a cold temperament. But as time passed, Sakura felt more and more bored. It's so boring, how about we have a discussion? Sakura's voice was loud in the empty classroom, making her very conspicuous. Sasuke frowned and opened his cold eyes. Can you stop making noise? If you have time to chat here, you might as well think about how to improve your strength. Sasuke's words instantly choked Sakura, and a feeling of grievance rose from her heart. Seeing Sakura's aggrieved look, Sasuke ignored her and continued to close his eyes and think about the exam. He felt that there was no point in arranging such a greenhouse flower to come in. Sakura's strength is not as good as that of a junior ninja now. If you don't want to chat, then don't chat. Why are you angry? Sakura pouted and said in a low voice. Then she sat on the table weakly, not knowing what she was thinking. Naruto opened his eyes and looked at her, but didn't say anything. Although she didn't have the vague disgust for Sakura at the beginning, she wouldn't be as licking dogs as Naruto in the original work. He and Sasuke both had a lot of things on their shoulders. Naruto had no interest in whether Sakura could grow up or not. After all, they would leave Konoha after all. If she could work as hard as Xiao Li, maybe he would look at her with a higher eye. Time passed slowly, and Sakura became more and more bored at this moment. Even Naruto felt that Kakashi was a little boring. A quarter of an hour ago, Naruto felt Kakashi's arrival, but Kakashi did not show up. Instead, he observed the reactions of everyone. Compared with Naruto and Sasuke, Kakashi was naturally very satisfied. As for Sakura, she was a very ordinary ninja who had just graduated. She was also a greenhouse flower immersed in love all day long. The next moment, Kakashi opened the door and walked in, which instantly made Sakura's eyes light up. Open black lens bracket finally here, close black lens bracket. Sakura said excitedly. Hello, I am your guiding Jonin, Hitaki Kakashi, follow me next. This sentence is basically what Kakashi introduced to Sakura. Kakashi brought a few people to the rooftop. In order to get to know you effectively, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Hitaki Kakashi. I like a lot of things, but I don't want to tell you what I hate. Kakashi said, rolling his salty eyes. What? In the end, we only know the name. Sakura was too tired to complain. Teacher Kakashi, there's no need for us to do that, right? Sasuke said softly. Huh, have they known each other for a long time? This surprised Sakura. Could it be that Sasuke and Naruto already knew this senior ninja? Dong. Kakashi knocked on Sasuke's head. Introducing yourself is to help you become a better team. I'll go first. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. My dream is world nuclear war. I want to protect the people I want to protect. I like Hinata and the food I cook, and Ichiraku ramen. Naruto said with a smile. My name is Haruno Sakura, and the things I like are better described as people. Glancing at Sasuke, Haruno Sakura shyly continued, as for what I hate, I don't have any for now. Sakura's self-introduction has changed a little compared to the original, probably because of the change in Naruto. She is indeed a little girl whose mind is full of love. Kakashi said helplessly. He really doubted whether she could cooperate with Sasuke and Naruto. I won't say anything more than that, but listen carefully to what I'm going to say next. There will be a test at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you fail, you will be unqualified and will be sent back to study for another year. Remember, don't be late. Kakashi said, and disappeared. Naruto and Sasuke were also ready to go back. Sakura stopped them and said, aren't you going to discuss tactics? If you fail the assessment, you will be sent back to school. Naruto turned his head and looked at Sakura, and said, don't worry, it's not difficult. Also, remember to eat breakfast tomorrow and come back. If you know Kakashi teacher, you will know it. After Naruto finished speaking, he left with Sasuke, leaving Sakura to think secretly. Ellipsis. At this moment, a figure appeared outside the Sound Village, and suddenly several figures appeared. Who dares to set foot in Otogakur? A ninja wearing a forehead protector and a genin combat uniform said to the newcomer. Wait. The man who seemed to be the leader suddenly raised his hand and said. Because the man opposite who looked like he had ragged clothes gave him a familiar feeling. This is Lord Orochimaru. A feeling of surprise surged in his heart, and he greeted him with surprise. Lord Orochimaru had been away from Sound Village for several months, and he was unexpectedly back now. Almost everyone in Sound Village was a fanatical believer of Orochimaru, and they were naturally very surprised to see Orochimaru at this moment. Orochimaru ignored his dusty appearance, and the excitement on his face flashed away. Tell Do to come see me. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Then, Orochimaru walked directly towards the Sound Village. In the Sound Village, Orochimaru had changed his clothes at this moment. Kabuto looked at Orochimaru in front of him and felt that Orochimaru's temperament seemed to have changed at this moment. Kabuto, you can't imagine what I discovered this time. Orochimaru said with a gleam in his eyes and a little excited. Orochimaru continued to talk to himself. He urgently wanted someone to listen to everything he discovered. There is a force in the world all the time, which is gravity, and what is its essence? I was puzzled at first, but then I found a magnet. It inspired me that there is a special force in the world, that is gravity. Gravity is caused by the attraction of gravity. So a new question arises, what is gravity and why does it exist? From observing the ships to the rising and setting of the sun, I have a bold guess that this world is a sphere. The stars in the sky are the same world as ours. The ninja world is just like tiny dust. A fanatical expression appeared on Orochimaru's face. Orochimaru's words also made Kabuto's body freeze instantly. What Orochimaru said was really too shocking. Chapter 117. A feeling of insignificance rose from Do's heart, and he felt that his worldview was impacted. He couldn't help but look up at the sky, with an inexplicable awe, as if there was a supreme god above the endless 9 heavens. Ha ha ha, Kabuto, this is the charm of truth, a corner of the world's truth. Orochimaru laughed, and became more interested in Umbrella. Compared to the Akatsuki organization, he was more interested in this mysterious organization, because this organization had what he needed. Let's go, Kabuto, let's explore this matter later. Now there is a very important matter that needs to be resolved. Orochimaru suddenly said coldly, his tone full of amusement. Kabuto nodded, obviously knowing what Orochimaru was talking about. The two then left the office of Sound Village. Ellipsis. In the ninja world. In a hot spring in the land of hot springs, a white-haired uncle was looking at a letter from a publishing house. What he cared about most was his royalties. After all, traveling in the ninja world also required food. Jiraiya opened the letter casually as usual, and inside it was a letter from the publishing house and royalties sent to him. He thought the harvest would be as rich as before. Jiraiya had traveled in the ninja world for many years. If he relied on his previous mission money, he would have starved to death on the street. In addition to being a ninja, Jiraiya also has a little-known identity, that is, a great writer in the ninja world. The author of the famous novel Dear Heaven. Dear Heaven has a great sales volume in the ninja world. When Jiraiya opened the letter, there was a piece of white paper and a passbook inside. The number on the passbook made Jiraiya's expression stunned. How is this possible? Jiraiya opened the letter and saw. Dear Mr. Jiraiya, I'm sorry to tell you. Jiraiya quickly finished reading the contents of the letter. He couldn't help but show a look of surprise on his face. Although the letter did not explain the reason for the decline in sales of his books, with his ninja intuition, there must be something unusual. Jiraiya left the hot spring and wanted to investigate to kill time in his boring life. Ellipsis. Konoha. On the training ground, Sakura was anxiously waiting for Kakashi to arrive, but what made her a little angry was that Naruto and Sasuke didn't come either. Just when she was almost impatient, Naruto and Sasuke finally arrived. Ellipsis. What's wrong with you? Why did you come just now? Teacher Kakashi said to come at 6 o'clock. Sakura said with her hands on her hips, a little angrily. Naruto took out his pocket watch and looked at it. No problem. It's only 11 o'clock now. Pocket watches are considered to be relatively expensive things in this world. Sakura simply ignored why Naruto had such a valuable thing. Ah, look how late you are. Sakura was obviously a little crazy. She had been waiting for a long time like a fool. Not only was her instructor late, but her two teammates were also late. At this time, Sasuke's cold voice came. Don't you know how to collect intelligence? Kakashi is your instructor, don't you want to know about him? Teacher Kakashi is such a person that it is easy to inquire about him. It's normal for Mr. Kakashi, a famous latecomer, to be unpunctual. Sakura was stunned by Sasuke's words. This time, she had no way to refute Sasuke. It was her who did not do her homework in advance. Moreover, because she was afraid of being discovered by Kakashi, she did not even listen to Naruto's advice yesterday. Now she felt so hungry and had not eaten breakfast. Looking at the looks of Naruto and Sasuke, they had obviously eaten. At this moment, Sakura felt like she was a third party. The three of them waited quietly, and Sakura also felt that she seemed inferior to the two of them. The good mood that she had shared with Sasuke yesterday seemed to have been ruined. The sound of birds chirping rang out, and a white-haired person appeared on the road in the distance. Sakura jumped up when she saw the white-haired person. Then she shouted to Kakashi who was approaching, "Teacher Kakashi, you are late." Looking at Sakura with a resentful expression, and then looking at the leisurely Naruto and Sasuke, there seems to be a little oil stain at the corner of Naruto's mouth. Kakashi couldn't help but twitching his mouth. It seems that there is no way to calm Naruto and Sasuke. This class of students is really difficult to lead. I just asked you to come earlier, I never said I would come at that time. Kakashi laughed, and instantly felt a sense of resentment. If eyes could kill, then Kakashi would have died many times. Without further ado, let's play a game of grabbing the bell. Whoever grabs the bell can become my student. Wait a minute, Mr. Kakashi, you only have 2 bells in your hand. Sakura's questioning voice sounded. That's right. 2 bells. Only 2 of you 3 can become my students, which means 1 will be eliminated. Kakashi's face became very serious at this moment, and Sakura's face turned pale. It seemed that she was the least capable among the three people. Wow, it seems I have to go back to school for another year. Sakura cried softly and said with a look of despair. Sakura, you have to learn to find the essence of the problem. Teacher Kakashi just wants to test our teamwork ability and the importance we attach to our partners. Naruto turned his head and looked at Kakashi. Teacher Kakashi, am I right? It seems to be a question, but it is actually an affirmation. Kakashi showed a helpless look and said, yes, but you still can't avoid the tests. After hearing this, Sakura immediately showed a look of joy. Does this mean that she can stay? You must remember that people who break the rules are trash, but people who don't cherish their companions are even worse than trash. Kakashi said very seriously. In this way, several people still passed the test, but these two people made Kakashi a little helpless. His strength is no longer enough to teach Naruto and Sasuke. Ellipsis. Jiraiya has already started the action. After a few days of investigation, he found a group of suspected members of a cult organization. Whether it is a cult or not remains to be investigated. In a small town, in a corner of a tavern, a young man said, I have decided. I used to be muddle-headed, but now I want to be an ambitious young man. I will inherit this book to you. It is a limited edition. The man took out a book from his arms and slapped it on the table. The name of the book is Intimate Paradise. After that, this is my sacred book. The man took out another book, which clearly had red thoughts written on it. Ha ha ha, Sosuke, you finally figured it out. New comrades are welcome to join us, but we don't need your book. I don't need it anymore. I asked Sosuke to take it out and have a look. It's hidden more carefully than anyone else's. The voices of several people discussing reached Jiraiya's ears. Jiraiya glanced sideways and saw that one of the books was his Paradise for Intimacy. The other one was invisible because of the angle. Is there another work on the market that is better than mine? How is this possible? I wrote this after constantly collecting materials. It is an absolute masterpiece of the soul. Jiraiya was obviously a little bit unacceptable. Chapter 118. Ahem. What are you guys discussing? May I know? Jiraiya's voice sounded. At this moment, he had changed his appearance. After all, how could he use his real body to investigate a mysterious organization? He couldn't guarantee that many people knew him, but there would definitely be many. It's always better to be careful. Jiraiya used the transformation technique to become a man in his 30s. Several people looked at Jiraiya's approaching figure, and a trace of vigilance flashed in their eyes. One of them, a young man who looked more stable and was about 27 or 28 years old, said, Who are you? I am Jiraiya, a failed writer wandering around the ninja world. Jiraiya said with a smile. He used his real name, but he didn't have a surname. In the ninja world, it was not surprising to have several people with the same name. The surname was important. Several people looked at each other, but they didn't completely let down their guard. Several people looked at Jiraiya's face, and he seemed to be in good spirits. He should be a relatively wealthy person. Jiraiya naturally saw the guard of several people, then he said to the waiter in the tavern, Give me some more wine. Soon, Jiraiya became friends with the three men. The one who was about 27 or 28 years old was called Zoro, the oldest of the three, and the other one was called Hayata, and the other one was the one they just mentioned, Sosuke. Among the three, Sosuke was the youngest, but he was also 23 years old. After a while, under the influence of alcohol, Jiraiya became friends with several people. Cough. Drink. Keep drinking. Brother Jiraiya, you look like a rich kid, why haven't you heard of our umbrella organization? Zoro was a little drunk, looking at Jiraiya with a dazed look. Hi, Brother Zoro, my family is pretty good, but the ninjas battle destroyed my family more than 10 years ago. I had to sell the mine at home and started wandering in the ninja world. The past is too painful to look back on. Jiraiya's acting skills are also superb, and he started to brag under the influence of alcohol. Jiraiya's experience resonated with several people, especially Sosuke. The reason why he has been muddle-headed all these years is because the ninja's battle affected his village, and the ninja's destructive power made him despair. He also wanted to control his own destiny and change this chaotic world, so he was attracted to the umbrella. Brother Jiraiya, there is no need to talk about the past. Why don't you just follow us from now on? We will take you to join our organization, which is worse than you having no goals now. As long as you have strong abilities, becoming bigger and stronger is not a problem at all. Our organization is very simple, aiming to lead the people to happiness and end the war. As long as you perform well, you can meet the higher-ups. We will have many like-minded comrades. Zoro's words touched Jiraiya a little, because he felt that the person in front of him was doing good for him from the bottom of his heart, and the goal of the organization he talked about also made him feel a little relieved. It didn't sound like a cult. It also aroused his interest. Brother Zoro, is there anyone more senior than you? Jiraiya narrowed his eyes, as if he had received some information from a higher level. Yes, of course there are, and I am not afraid to tell you this, but if you want to meet adults at a higher level, you need to have a higher level of awareness and make a certain level of contribution, and finally the higher level adults will contact you. Of course this is a one-way connection. They are a group of truly admirable people. Zoro's eyes showed admiration. Only those who have read the Red Thought, deeply recognized it, and have their own understanding can truly become a member of the organization. Higher-level people are all elites. At the same time, their thoughts are extremely firm. He also longs to be such a person. If possible, he hopes to be a member of the Spark. In his eyes, although what those people do is very dangerous, it is particularly sacred. Jiraiya also extracted the information he wanted from it. The person in front of him should have joined this organization for some time, but his status should not be high. There is no trace of chakra on his body. An ordinary person, no matter how talented he is, can't be a high-level person in an organization. Jiraiya's thoughts also remain in the thinking of ordinary people. After all, chakra is everything in this world. In the end, several people were drunk, leaving only Jiraiya. Well, in the end, Jiraiya paid for the wine for several people and opened a room for them to stay. In the early morning of the rising sun, several people woke up one after another, and remembered what happened yesterday. Zoro saw Jiraiya coming out, happily hugged Jiraiya's shoulders and said, "Let's go, brother, I will take you to participate in the ceremony of joining the organization today." Zoro said something to Hayata and prepared to set off with Sosuke and Jiraiya. On the way, looking at the somewhat remote road, Jiraiya asked curiously, "Is the organization in the deep mountains?" "Not really, you will know when you come," Zoro explained. Finally, he added, "The current development of the organization needs to be concealed. Although it is now in a semi-concealed state, there are always people who can't stand us doing well." Zoro obviously didn't know the reason, and he was just speaking according to his own thoughts. As time passed, the surrounding trees have begun to grow tall, and the grass is green. It should have rained last night, and the dewdrops are still clearly visible on the grass next to the bushes. Suddenly, Jiraiya's expression became solemn. No way, wouldn't his identity be exposed with just a little progress? In Jiraiya's perception, several auras appeared in front of him, and the leader even had chakra in his body. He should be a robber. But even the weakest robber is not something that Zoro and Sosuke can resist. "Oh, it seems that I have no choice but to reveal my identity." Jiraiya naturally couldn't watch the people he just met die in front of him. "Guys, look what we've encountered." After they walked a distance, the leader of the thieves jumped out. In addition to taking Jiraiya, Sosuke and others to a base of the Umbrella Organization, Zoro and his men also purchased a batch of supplies. Although it was not much, it also made the leading thief excited, because in his opinion, these people were not poor, and there must be oil and water to be plundered. Sosuke saw a trace of panic on the faces of the newcomers. Zoro and Hayata showed a playful smile, and Jiraiya was struggling for a while whether to expose himself, so he did not look at Zoro and Hayata. "Hey, I am the Toad Sage of Mount Myoboku." Before Jiraiya could finish his words, Zoro rushed up in a shadow. Hayata followed closely behind, and the two of them attacked directly from the front and the back. Although the speed was not fast, it shocked Jiraiya a little. Because they didn't have chakra, nor did they have the sharpness and murderous aura of a samurai. Although the power they burst out was only at the level of a genin, it also attracted Jiraiya's attention. Bull fist. Moo. The sound of a bull mooing suddenly appeared, and Zoro's fist hit the chest of the thief leader. The thief leader spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backwards like a kite with a broken string. Chapter 119. Boss. What's wrong with you, boss? The bandit leader's younger brother said anxiously. The bandit leader was lying on the ground with a livid face, blood spilled on his clothes, and his face was full of disbelief. "You, who are you?" Puff. Another mouthful of blood spurted out, and the bandit leader took the lunchbox directly, his eyes wide open, as if he would die with his eyes open. "Run away. This Laolu must be a ninja, they are playing the pig to eat the tiger." The remaining brothers also reacted and began to flee in all directions, not caring about the boss, and just ran wildly. Moreover, these people were very smart and fled in different directions. Zoro and Hayata looked at each other. The two of them suddenly turned into a shadow and chased after the fleeing bandits. Those bandits were just ordinary people, how could they escape from their pursuit? After a while, blood was spilled, and the fleeing people showed unwillingness. In the end, more than a dozen people all died in front of them. Sosuke's face turned pale, and it was obvious that the impact of the blood was difficult for him to accept. The two came over and looked at Jiraiya, who looked a little surprised but normal at the same time, and couldn't help showing a look of appreciation. This made Jiraiya a little speechless. Who is he? The dignified Myoboku mountain toad sage Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha. He is also famous in the ninja world, and he actually saw a look of appreciation on other people's faces. Zoro took a step closer and said, "Sosuke, you will get used to such scenes sooner or later. When we set foot on this road, our lives no longer belong to individuals. Do you have this awareness, Sosuke?" Before Sosuke could answer, Zoro said to himself, "This road must be accompanied by blood. If we want to succeed, we will definitely touch the interests of others. This is a class struggle, and one side must fall. The most honorable thing for me is to dedicate my blood to the organization." Zoro's answer obviously made Sosuke a little stunned. Jiraiya was surprised in his heart. Zoro's words touched him a little. These words are not something that ordinary people can say. Obviously, the organization he mentioned is not simple either. It can actually allow a person to do such a thing. "Brother Zoro, I have thought it through a long time ago. Instead of living in a muddle, I would rather die. Even if I die, I don't want to live the kind of life I used to live." Sosuke's face was complicated, but he was obviously struggling with his thoughts. Zoro nodded. He had also investigated Sosuke. He was smart and had a correct mind, but he was a little addicted to the paradise of intimacy. This was not a good thing. Finally, he was straightened out. The brother Jiraiya in front of him also looked like a knowledgeable person. He had been traveling in the ninja world for many years, but he was just surprised when facing such a scene. It was just that Jiraiya's surprise was different from what he imagined. "Let's deal with these corpses, otherwise it will cause a plague and it will be troublesome." After dealing with the corpses, they started on their way again. Hayata walked up to the two of them and said, "Don't think we are cruel. After these thieves escape, they are likely to harm others again. Remember not to be merciful. You should treat your enemies with thunder and lightning. Kindness is for your partners." Jiraiya nodded, obviously agreeing with what he said. After setting off again, the field of vision became wider again. Jiraiya was surprised to find that the people in front who were farming actually had chakra reactions. They just looked a little weak, probably weaker than the genin, with a slightly stronger fluctuation, at most comparable to the Chunin. Is this the level of an organization's stronghold? Jiraiya looked at a middle-aged man in the distance, clapped his hands, and the land actually rolled over. In the distance, a big sister, although the seals in her hands were not fast, there was no mistake, and a whirlwind appeared. The seedlings were immediately inserted into the ground, which made Jiraiya stunned. In the distance, several people were cultivating the fields with their hands, and the speed was not slow. Some people were practicing boxing. Brother Zoro, what is this? Jiraiya asked curiously. Brother Jiraiya, you will get used to this in the future. Have you ever heard of the art of transplanting rice? Well, that's it. Those are sorcerers, those who practice boxing or warriors. Zoro explained. Warlock, warrior. What is this? Jiraiya asked in surprise. Warlocks can also be called ninjas, but warlock is what we call it. We don't like ninjas. We are not ninjas from the ninja village who accept missions. We are just warlocks. As for the warriors, it is not something you should know now. Zoro said slowly. After they entered the village, a young man came out to greet them. Zoro, you are back. Who are these two? They are new members who are about to join the organization. You come and receive them. Hayata, you take care of these supplies. Zoro gave an order and led the two into a house. Jiraiya looked around. It looked like a hidden village, but it maintained contact with the outside world. In this way, Jiraiya stayed here for the time being. Ellipsis. Ellipsis. Naruto didn't know how far the butterfly effect he caused would spread. At this moment, they have begun a boring mission life, and undercurrents are surging in the dark, preparing to leave Konoha. The seemingly peaceful ninja world has begun to fluctuate. Orochimaru has begun to contact the Sand Ninja. In the desert of the Wind Kingdom, Luo Sha appeared with several Anbu. Luo Sha looked at Orochimaru in front of him and said coldly, Orochimaru, you want to cooperate with me, but a lean camel is bigger than a horse, you know. Are you qualified to cooperate with us, Sand Village? Luo Sha said disdainfully. How dare you? A murderous intent instantly surged from Kimamaro's body. The accompanying Sand Village Anbu also drew their weapons. Stand down, Kimamaro. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Kimamaro retreated unwillingly, and the murderous intent that flashed in Orochimaru's eyes disappeared instantly. Orochimaru instantly formed a seal, and several coffins were summoned in an instant. What is this? Luo Sha said in shock. A guess was forming in his mind. Is this the impure world reincarnation technique of the second Hokage? Luo Sha said in shock. The second Hokage had used it many times and it was well known in the ninja world. Luo Sha had naturally heard of it and thought it had been lost. He didn't expect that Orochimaru could actually use it. In this case, am I qualified to cooperate with you? Orochimaru smiled evilly. But why did you do this? Luo Sha still asked the question in his mind. Although I hate that old guy, we were teacher and student after all, so let him die as a hero in the battle instead of dying old. This is the only thing I can do as a former disciple. Orochimaru said coldly. Luo Sha was stunned and laughed. As expected of you, the cold Lord Orochimaru, happy cooperation. When Luo Sha heard Orochimaru's answer, he naturally didn't know what Orochimaru was thinking. In his opinion, dead is dead, nothing can be used. No matter what, it is beneficial for them to cooperate with Orochimaru. If the plan succeeds, they will surely rise to prominence. Chapter 120. After both parties left, and after finalizing some details of the cooperation with Rasa, Orochimaru began to set his sights on the Umbrella Organization again. Kabuto, help me contact the Umbrella Organization. After returning to the base in the Land of Fields, Orochimaru couldn't help but want to learn more amazing theories from the Umbrella Organization. However, he did not give up his current research. He still had a long way to go on the academic path. Ellipsis. On Naruto's side, since he had already made a chakra phone, it was obviously easier to receive Shisui's message. He could just use the phone to call in. It was more convenient to transmit messages. In that familiar place, Sasuke had already started practicing next to him. They should have been doing some low-level D-level tasks now, because they knew the shadow clone technique. Among the members of Team 7, Sakura was probably the only one who was doing the task seriously. If she knew that the two people who were doing the task with her were not the real ones, I wonder if she would collapse. They said they would work hard together, but in the end, they all slipped away. Shisui, are you saying that Orochimaru wants to cooperate further? Naruto was a little surprised. He didn't expect Orochimaru to contact him now. Naruto felt that he underestimated Orochimaru's pursuit of the truth in the world. But it's good to contact him now. He is destined to get involved in the Konoha collapse plan. Konoha owes him so much over the years, so let him pay it back from here. Tell Orochimaru to come and meet him. The location is in the Land of Fire. Naruto's spiritual voice came out from Shisui's microphone. I'm back this time too, you should come too, Shisui, I'm sure Orochimaru will be very surprised. Naruto said with a smile, which made Shisui a little surprised. Don't be surprised, we have been patient for long enough. When cooperating with Orochimaru, we have to show some muscle, right? Naruto made Shisui bow his head and ponder for a while. What Naruto said was right, but there was no need to send him out. It seemed that Naruto attached great importance to Orochimaru. Moreover, facing a venomous snake-like character like Orochimaru, necessary deterrence is also necessary, otherwise it is very likely to be swallowed by the venomous snake. If Orochimaru is a venomous snake, then they are an elephant. If they want to swallow an elephant, they will have to see his ability. Yes, I haven't seen Lord Orochimaru for a long time, I am really looking forward to it. Shisui laughed, as if he thought of some scene. Naruto shook his head after hearing this. You want to see if Orochimaru is shocked. I didn't expect that, Shisui, you have also learned use dark side. No way, ha ha ha. Let me make a long story short. Please try to arrange the location. That's it, I'm hanging up first. Naruto hung up the phone and couldn't help but smile at the phone in his hand. In his heart, his current life is almost close to his previous life. Shisui also quickly told Orochimaru the result. Oh, 3 days later, it's still in time. After hearing the news, Orochimaru continued his experiment. With a limited life, time is not worth wasting. At the same time, in Konoha village, Kakashi looked at the 3 people in the distance. He saw that Naruto and Sasuke were shadow clones, and they picked up garbage by treading water. In the original work, the few people didn't know how to tread water, so they picked up garbage in the stream by themselves. At that time, Kakashi might have felt that the few people were still a little bit behind, so he didn't teach them the skills of climbing trees and treading water. But now Kakashi frowned. The gap between Naruto and Sasuke's strength and Sakura's is really huge. It's not a good thing to have a big gap. Sakura, come here for a moment. Kakashi said to Sakura. Sakura, who was feeling a little depressed, was stunned for a moment, then raised her head and looked at Kakashi. Yes. Sakura trotted to Kakashi and said, Teacher Kakashi, what can I do for you? Sakura, you should have seen that there is a big gap between you and Naruto and Sasuke. Kakashi's voice immediately made Sakura feel a little lost, and a feeling of sadness filled her heart. Until now, she realized how big the gap was between her and Naruto and Sasuke. If she knew that the 2 people in front of her were not their true bodies, she would probably be even more devastated. But don't worry, you can see that they can walk on the water. Next, I will teach you this technique. This technique can improve your chakra control ability and reduce the consumption when performing ninjutsu. Sakura suddenly raised her head and looked at Kakashi. Really? Teacher Kakashi? Sakura instantly felt her heart filled with joy. As the saying goes, surprises come too fast. After learning this technique, she should be one step closer to Sasuke. Well, come with me. Kakashi took Sakura into the grove under her strange gaze. Naruto and Sasuke's shadow clones saw this scene from a distance. Naruto's shadow clone came up to Sasuke with a lewd look on his face. He, Sasuke, I remember that Sakura likes you. Teacher Kakashi will take her into the grove. He. You are poisonous. Bang. Frightened by Naruto's wretched look, Sasuke could not help but punch Naruto. After Naruto rolled over for a few times, he turned into smoke and disappeared. This was just an ordinary shadow clone, and it could not withstand the power of Sasuke's furious outburst. How could Naruto create such a shadow clone? I am so angry. Coming back to his senses, Sasuke looked at the huge stream. Now he had to do the work of 3 people alone. Humph, even if I conceal with one hand, I can still be invincible. Ahem, I can still complete the work of 3 people. Sasuke at this moment is also different from usual. Naruto, who is practicing at this moment, was slightly stunned, and a memory appeared in his mind. Instantly, Naruto's face flushed a little red, and an embarrassed look appeared on Naruto's face. After glancing at Sasuke inconspicuously, Nijima looked at Naruto with strange eyes, and felt puzzled. Why look at me like that? In the early morning of the rising sun, the 3 of them gathered together again. Sasuke looked at Naruto with a meaningful look. Obviously, he knew what happened to Naruto yesterday. He could never have thought that Naruto could split such a wretched shadow clone. But at this moment, as if he thought of something, Sasuke's face also showed a trace of embarrassment. After returning yesterday, his own shadow clone was even more pretentious than him. He said that even if he needed one hand to make a seal, he could still be invincible in the world. Sasuke was so angry that he turned him into a smoke state. Sakura also appeared in front of the 2 of them, smiling, and obviously something good happened. Yesterday, Sakura, after following Kakashi to the grove. Sakura, before treading water, there is another skill, that is climbing a tree. Watch me. Kakashi walked directly onto a tree, as if walking on flat ground, and Sakura's eyes sparkled. Okay, you try it. As soon as Kakashi finished speaking, Sakura began to try it impatiently. To Kakashi's surprise, Sakura succeeded in one try. This also made Kakashi realize that the girl in front of him did have some talent, at least in terms of chakra control.